10, 9, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
The Football Daily Transfer Deadline Day Special. Joining me on the sofa today, we've got Zach Jalab, we've got Doogie Critchley, we've got Chris Hamill, but most importantly, we've got three-time Premier League winner, Chelsea legend and Huawei's latest signing, Joe Cole. Joe, what an honour it is to have you on the show. How do you feel?
Great to be here.
Yeah. How's everybody else? Jalab, good?
I mean, I used to wear sweatbands with this guy.
Oh.
Yeah. Flair.
Yeah, excited. Hoping for some big deals before the deadline.
Yeah, happy as Larry, mate. Joe's got his peppermint tea, so we're all good. Raring to go, ready to answer your questions.
But it's not just us today. We've also got Peter Dorman over in Social Corner. Dorman, what is going on over there?
Yes, I am in Social Corner all on my lonesome tonight, but it doesn't matter because I've got you guys at home to keep me company. So make sure you get your questions and comments in the live chat, and also make sure there's some personal ones for Joe, as we will be rattling through some quickfire questions later in the show. But before we get started, we have a video from our friends over at Huawei. Roll the video.
It was a big decision to transfer.
I spoke to my mates.
My family.
They all helped massively.
At one point, I nearly backed out.
It was a real tough decision to make. You have to be brave.
I didn't think people would understand, but it was the obvious choice. I wanted something better.
I knew the move would get people talking, that's for sure. Did they understand? I think so. When they saw how happy I was.
Making the switch was life-changing.
Life was better. I felt like I had more freedom.
My performance levels were incredible.
The setup was amazing. A lot more intelligent. I even kept my number.
Oh, the kit suited me down to the ground.
The switch was about looking after my future.
Oh, when I switched, there was cameras everywhere.
Flash, flash, flash. Mate, it was amazing.
Better battery, an amazing camera. I wish I'd done it sooner.
Huawei, what a move, mate.
Come on.
Let's go. Best move of your life?
Yeah, and the easiest.
Oh, go on.
Michael Owen for Newcastle United, for Manchester United, for Real Madrid, for Liverpool. Goal!
Made with Michael.
What a performance,
Yeah,
Joe.
yeah, it won't be threatening any BAFTA awards or anything.
Just yet.
I'm not
sure. Just yet.
Yeah. No, it was good to see Michael. I mean, he's more of a seasoned pro with them type of things with the filming and that. So he helped me through the day. It was good to see him again because we played together in the Star Sixes.
Oh yeah.
So we had a lot to talk about, and it went well. The people there were lovely. It was good, nice day filming. And like trying to act is, I know it's very hard. So big
Tell us
respect.
about it. It is hard, isn't it?
Big respect to any actors out there. It is a hard art that I butchered. Yeah.
We've all seen Wayne Rooney's wine advert, mate, and yours was absolutely outstanding.
Yeah,
compared to that
different
effort.
level. Absolutely different. Yeah, it's so much better. Let's go to Dorman then. First question from the people at home.
Yes, the first question comes from Bab Talker, who has asked, who has had the best transfer window?
Ooh, do you want to start us off, Joe?
Ooh, it's been a quiet one. I'm not gonna lie.
It's an understatement.
Yeah, I mean, like none of the big guns have really come out for it. I think Newcastle, breaking their transfer record. I think it's been a long time since that's.
Oh, finally!
Yeah.
People can stop going on about Michael Owen and that
Yes.
transfer fee, HMV.
I know, and but it's the kid they signed, Almiron. I watched him lots in the MLS, and I know it's a big jump. The MLS, the standards getting better and better and better, and it's hard to judge where it is in comparison to.
Where would you put it? In that sort of English pyramid?
It's so hard to judge, and he was in a very, very good team that kept the ball, and he's going to go to Newcastle in a team that's, they're in a relegation battle, but the kid can play.
He chose from Atlanta, didn't he?
Yeah.
So how do you think Joseph Martinez is good enough to make the step up as well? Because he's been scoring goals for fun out there, hasn't he?
No, honestly, I think the MLS is a different animal now than what it was even 5 years ago. They're signing players like Almiron and Martinez and these guys from South America, and they see it now as like a league where they can earn a good living,
But the springboard,
but also a springboard now. Whereas before it was seen as maybe somewhere to go when they can't get to Europe straight away, or they can't get so. But it would have been planned for Almiron to have a few seasons there, and I'm imagining, and then comes to Europe to a big club like
Yeah, because I
Newcastle.
watched Leeds the other day, and Jack Harrison's made the step really well, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Did you ever play against him or see much of him out there?
I saw him play. They come and played a friendly at our stadium.
Yeah.
I watched him play, and yes, he's. I mean, I've obviously been a British. You follow all the Brits in the league. Out there, so, I mean, I was impressed with him, and he like you said, it's great when you see these lads who come a different way round.
Yeah.
He's had a different upbringing. He's wanted to start with the education, and then he's got into the New York City team, and that's just great. I think, he's a good player, and like I said, I'm not surprised that MLS players are now coming over and making an impact.
Yeah, it's a great transfer for the league, and I think it's an exceptionally exciting transfer for Newcastle fans as well. I mean, I think last year he got 13 goals and 11 assists as they won the MLS Cup. And Newcastle could certainly use a bit of backup as well. Rondon and Jose Perez, whilst good players, they can always need a bit more goals on that side. I mean, Newcastle got that fantastic result, obviously, a few days ago against Man City. But I saw that their starting lineup in that game cost £40 million.
That's crazy in this time.
Which is Fabian Shaw, their main goal threat as well at the moment. Like Beckenbauer stepping out the line, isn't he?
Dribbling through from all over. And they played so well against Man City, so it would be good, to get the fans truly behind Benitez, even more, and quiet down the talk of Ashley out as well, because you can fully understand it. But this sort of signing is great for the fans as well, and hopefully it can push on in Newcastle colours.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit disappointed with the window as a whole. Like, I'm not expecting any big moves to happen on deadline day. Last year they were flying in.
Yeah.
But stick with us, because Zach is in charge of transfers today, aren't you, lad?
So far, we've had a couple of big ones. Peter Crouch is back in the Premier League.
Absolutely buzzing.
Vokes has gone the other way, plus £7 million to Burnley, which isn't too bad a deal.
That is such a Burnley move.
It is, but I think that's a good deal for most parties. £7 million for Sam Vokes, decent fee, and you get Peter Crouch, who's probably coming in for a bit of dressing room experience. I mean, you've played with him. Do you think he'd offer much anymore at the Premier League level?
Definitely. I mean, Crouch is actually he's older than me. Crouch. He's
38.
Yeah, he's 38. He's in the year above me.
Agree.
And but with the way he plays, he's always. You're going to be coming on, I would imagine, for Burnley late on in the game.
Yeah.
He's such a talented player. He causes chaos. But for me, I think, like you said, it's good for both clubs.
Yeah,
I was delighted when he joined the 100 Club. When he finally got there, because he was waiting a little while, wasn't he? And then he got that goal. Everyone wanted him to get it. One of football's nice guys, isn't it?
Disappointing not to see the old robot though on the 100 Club. To be honest.
I know.
That was a classic.
Have a word, please.
That was a classic. The robot, wasn't it?
He'll be, as you say, Joe, as well. He'll be great around the dressing room as well. I've been listening to his podcast the last couple of months, and he just sounds like such a good lad. And he'll add so much experience to that team as well. Vokes has only got 3 goals and I think about 20 Premier League appearances this year, which isn't obviously great. And they could use with a bit more firepower as well. So it seems like most of the moves this window have been related around transfers, and we've also seen that at Chelsea, obviously, with Morata going out on loan, Higuain coming in. What have you made of that, Joe? Are you excited about that prospect?
You're excited. I mean, you looked at the problems that Chelsea have experienced over the last few weeks, and it was been putting the ball in the back of the net. Obviously, Hazard playing in the false 9 hasn't been ideal for everyone concerned. So they were looking for a number 9, and I think Higuain was looking for a chance to come to the Premier League. Again, it was a marriage of convenience. I think everyone benefited. Higuain, Milan, and Chelsea,
and Morata probably.
Morata, for whatever reason, it just didn't work for him.
Yeah, I mean, even when he was scoring, he still looked pretty exuding sort of negative vibes, wasn't he? It appeared that he didn't want to be at the club. And did you sort of get that sense? Was it kind of like, okay, now it's time to move on?
Yeah, I mean, it was a funny one with him, wasn't it? Because he's obviously he's been at some big clubs. I mean, that's for sure.
And done well.
And so, like some players, you just go somewhere and it just doesn't fit, and it just didn't seem to fit for him. And I mean, I know that London's a great place, but it's not a great place for everyone. Sometimes people just don't settle here.
If they've got a family.
And maybe that's the case. So he's back in Spain, and I'm pleased for him. And I'm pleased that Chelsea have got in an experienced player now who can get them over the line and get them maybe win a trophy, maybe get into the top 4. Which will be a good season considering last season how it went.
Massively. Do you think that Sarri's become the victim of overperforming at the start of the season? Because now, obviously, your general football fan has sort of had a knee-jerk reaction to sort of recent results, but it's been largely positive at Chelsea, hasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, you've always got to put perspective and in any situation, and like you said, Sarri had a fantastic start, but even a team like will have a blip. Even a team that's going to win the league will have a period where things are not going well, and it's just going to be how quickly they navigate out of these waters and get back onto being a bit more consistent. Because the performances, even over the bad spell, like we've gone and beaten Man City, Spurs in the cup.
That second half against Spurs was brilliant.
Yeah, excellent.
Well, the first half, sorry.
Excellent performance, and even in the first leg, I thought we was good. So, I mean, it's just for him now. It's navigating this difficult period and getting the consistency back in.
Do you feel that, I don't know how much you're allowed to say on this, but has there been a real shift in mood compared to last year at Chelsea? Because last year, towards the end, it seemed to be going slightly toxic from an outsider's point of view. Has that seemed to change that this year? You were an outsider last year as well, yeah.
And to be fair, I'm in the academy and it's pretty separate, but you hear things and the mood is a lot better than it was at the back end of last season. I don't think that's not news, is it? People,
no.
Manager Conte got the sack, so Sarri's brought a calmness into the place. But any of these, it seems to me, like you said, knee-jerk reactions. I think any team, everyone wants success now.
Yeah, and got to build for it.
It's tough, and it's tough for all these clubs. I mean, who's sitting here happy with themselves at the moment? Probably Man City and Liverpool. The rest of the
even Manchester City, it must be a little bit annoyed at the start. They're still chasing Liverpool down. Yeah. I was just about to say, surely a player like yourself would have loved to play under Sarri, because you can see a bit of the sort of Dries Mertens and Insigne game in your game, and maybe drifting in off that wing where you're put so often.
Yeah, I mean, I would have loved to have played in this era. Period. No one seems to tackle you anymore. It would have been great.
You have the freedom of the left.
Yeah,
Vidic booting you all over the pitch.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, I watched a few games from when every now and then I'll put a game and watch a bit from when I started, and then 10 years in, and then it's like a different sport, I think, and it's better now, especially with the players.
So I'm not more protection for the attacking players?
Yeah, because and it's rightly so as well. I mean, it's the football fans that don't want to go there and watch. They can go over the park and watch some Herbert booting up booting a player. Do you know what I mean? So if you're going to pay your money, you want to go to the Premier League. You want to see Kevin De Bruyne. You want to see Eden Hazard.
Blowing.
You want to see these good players doing what they're great, and so I'm pleased. And I'm not one of these ex-players. The game's improved. The players have improved.
And you see a lot of the stuff that goes on behind the scenes working at Chelsea now. How has it kind of changed now as to what your role is and what is happening behind the scenes at a football club compared to when you were playing? Is it way more advanced, or is it a similar level?
It was a slow evolution over the years, but the small changes mount to big changes, and now the level of detail that goes into producing players and looking after them is
analytics, sports science.
All the list stuff. It's chalk and cheese from where it was 10 years ago and 20 years ago. Amazing. And going in now, I'm learning day by day. All different. So there's so many people to pick their brains. Like you said, analysts guys, stats guys, sports scientists, nutritionists. And you can now get the opportunity. And I'm just learning from everyone. So. It's a good place. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm a football man. I love being primarily around football people and in that environment and on the pitch and helping people. So I'm loving it. Yeah.
And you were saying off air that you are working with a few different teams as well at Chelsea. Yeah. You're not just with one group.
Which suits me ground to the ground, because I can work with this group for 6 weeks, assisting the under-18s, and then it'll be
just
6 weeks, 23s, and you get to see how the whole club runs.
And you see their development moving as well.
Yeah, and you need to get there's going to be 200 people in the building. I need to learn names from. That's difficult because
they've been a bit starry-eyed with the youngsters, and they've been like,
joke. No, they've been great. They've been
selfies galore, left, right.
When you're in that environment, you walking in. They sometimes they get called up to train with the first team, and they've got to be ready. They can't be there with your autograph book, getting look. There's David Luiz and there's Hazard. You got to go there and compete.
Seize the opportunity.
So these young lads, their mentality is, you've got to walk into the door at any football club, and you've got to be thinking, when my time comes, I'm going to step onto that pitch and I'm going to be the best player, and that's what we're trying to instill in them. I'm pleased that they're not, asking me for selfies and things like that.
You broke through young, so you had that experience.
But on the other hand, I do want them to ask questions, and ask, you know, what was it when this happened? How did this happen?
Yeah.
And that's what you're there for, because there's no, the wisdom you pick up over 20 years, you want to impart onto them, but you don't want to throw it down the necks. You want someone to be curious and intrigued and come and ask. So the boys, I must say that first of all, the coaches do a great job, because not just the 18s who I'm working with at the moment, but all of the kids in the building are really respectful, really nice lads, and I think that's just as important as producing players.
Is there anyone we should specifically, or the people at home that's watching, should specifically be looking out for? You're thinking this kid it's got something really special,
or the Chelsea scouts like keep it
keep it on the down low. We don't want someone else to nick this.
Yeah, they wouldn't want me to say it, and I wouldn't want to single any one of them out. But there is a few. Maybe I'll tell you off air. But
what about old Hudson-Odoi?
Yes, I mean he's gone way beyond where the under 18s at the moment. But I actually trained with him a couple of years ago when I was keeping fit and ticking over. And
is that where he learnt that chop inside?
I tell you, he was something else. Even then, he was a real talent that you've seen. That goal the other night was
fantastic.
That top players doing top things. That's what you want to see. That's what gets you off your feet. You know, you're up in your kitchen just clapping that when it goes, and that's beautiful football. And we need to look after these players.
What sort of manager would you be? Do you think you're going to be a bit of a taskmaster like Sarri, or a bit more easy-going like Ancelotti? Are you still finding your feet?
I'm finding my feet, and what I develop into. I think one thing the most important thing I think I'll take into management is you can only be yourself.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen managers who tries to force anger. It looks terrible. If you're angry, be angry. If you want to be calm, you know.
So just be genuine.
Just be genuine. And I've worked with great managers who are at different ends of the spectrum in terms of how they get the best. There's more than one way to skin a cat. My best years were probably. It's hard to say. I mean, the first 10 years of my career were the best years, but I've probably most consistent. Probably Jose, 3.5 years with him. But then again, I had some great times at West Ham at the start, playing for Harry and Glenn.
Great year when you went back as well. We got notched a few Premier League goals, didn't you?
Yeah. I mean, by that time in my career, I was on the other side of the hill. Injuries had caught up with me, but there was moments then, but it was just never consistent as it was. The performances weren't as consistent. So, but it's hard to say. I mean, I've been lucky to work with some great managers there.
Yeah. Let's get some more questions then from the fans at home watching.
Yes, the next question comes from Citizen Peps, who has asked, have Man City or Liverpool made a big mistake in not making any marquee signings this window?
Go on, Carly.
Do you want me to go?
Yeah, go again.
I think both managers would have looked at their squads and been pretty happy. The only thing I think maybe Liverpool could have got in some cover. They seem to be picking up a lot of injuries. You know, your Gomez's and
right back in particular.
Couldn't believe when they let Klein go.
It's hard. Yeah, exactly. So you don't know the inner thoughts. You don't know the financial situation, where the pressure's coming from. But if I would have been Klopp, I'd have been thinking, if the right person's out there to come in and give us a little bit of cover.
Even a little boost. Even a little boost. Because, for me anyway, like watching on, I kind of think if Van Dijk picks up an injury or...
Yeah, they're in trouble.
The back line with Gomez with that broken leg, it looks shaky.
Starting to look a lot more average,
Matip and Lovren, you think Van Dijk holds that whole back line together like glue. So maybe bring in a centre-back. I don't know. There's not that many options though.
No.
There's not any players I look at and think you could pick him up in January for a reasonable fee and he would come in and improve Liverpool. They'd have to be paying so much money to get anyone at that level.
I mean, you would have gone for someone like, if you're going to go for big money and try and get someone, it would be someone like who's young and performing. Someone like Diop at West Ham, who's different class, but obviously going to pay massive money.
A lot of West Ham fans are already of the opinion he's like too good for the club, almost not anticipating.
West Ham fans think he's way too good for West Ham.
Yeah, that's
Is that the West Ham way?
Well,
no, West Ham way is.
No. It's like for West Ham's a great club and fantastic, but that you've got to be. They've had so many opportunities over the years where they've had great players, and you've got to hold on to them and fight for them.
Like build a team,
build a team around them. Even going back to my days, I think, but credit to the owners. They're putting their hands in their pockets and they're buying players.
Yeah, they really are, aren't they? Yeah.
You know, you've got a fantastic, and I'd love to see him do well and keep hold of your Diops and build from it, and because I think the club's made for going.
So you're glad to see Arnautovic stay then, because obviously he came pretty close to getting on and playing to China, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean you don't know the ins and outs of the workings of the lad's mind, but he's a fantastic player.
Would have been a waste for someone that age, that talent to go to China.
I mean, he's going to be a West Ham legend if he stays in for 3-4 years, because he's such a talented player. I think it's the perfect marriage for him.
Yeah.
The perfect club.
Bit of a maverick as well. Got a bit of the Canio about.
Yeah, I've had a few comparisons to the Canio.
Yeah, West Ham like that, and I think because he's a similar age to Paolo, 29 when he's arrived at the club. So I mean, listen, I think he's different class, and I'm glad he stayed, and I want to see them build a team round the likes of him and Diop. And
you must like Anderson.
Yeah, top player again. Like, you know, seeing players like that playing for West Ham. That's why it baffles me that the West Ham fans might think that way, because I think you've got a team there now.
Keep hold of him.
I watched every one of the last 5 or 6 games, and I can see there's this good players there.
Yeah, the manager wants to play
Declan Rice as well.
Yeah.
And it'd be great if West Ham, if they can win something with them boys, if they can win something with them, that club, you know, there'll be stands named after him.
Devastated. You must be devastated they went out of the cup, because the FA Cup should be the bread and butter for a club like that.
If I'm in that sort of bracket, you know, like a Leicester or West Ham, and you know, they're just, you know, they're in that mid range.
Yeah,
I'm making a conscious effort to really go after the cups, because that can galvanise a club, and that can, you know, reconnect with the fans, galvanise the club. It helps the recruitment policy. You know, it would be.
I couldn't agree more. I was talking about on Monday's show. We do a show where we wrap up the weekend's football, and like Everton, I don't think Everton did enough in the cups either. A club like Everton should be going all out for an FA Cup.
Well,
They're not going to finish in the top 6 in the Premier League. They're not going to get relegated. If I was an Everton fan, I'd be thinking, where do we sit? Like, it's all well and good. We might get 1 year, 2 years in the Europa, but let's go all out for the cups. Let's try and narrow the FA Cup.
And this year is relatively doable as well. I remember reading that this is the lowest amount of Premier League teams in the 5th round since the late 80s, I think. So the opportunity is there.
Yeah, I watched it. Like, I love the FA Cup, and I've loved it since I was a kid. I watched the match of the day. The match of the day with my boys, and you know, I was sitting there thinking, I want to make a comeback.
Sign me up.
Like honestly, because the magic of it. You see the lower clubs competing against the top clubs, and even more so in this era. I think it's coming back. I think like there's something, because we know like the corporate of the Premier League, and
so raw and honest about it.
Then you see AFC Wimbledon and Wally Downs, you know, and there's something raw, and I think it connects with the fans, and I think they've marketed it brilliantly. And I think it's just, like I said, I watch football, but it really got me going on the edge of the seat watching the game. I was like, I was ready to go again.
We've got like a couple lads in the office that absolutely love non-league football, because the Premier League is so glossy. I mean, we love it. It's a slick product, but there are a lot of fans sort of turn into non-league, isn't there? And FA Cup's great, yeah.
But ain't that the way? Sometimes this era is now. You know, there's a lot of the youngsters, and you know, they can see the corporate, and then it's great, and we love that. But they also like to get down dirty and see it properly.
Yeah, that's probably why our fans enjoy us.
Non-league football's great.
There's definitely still a lot of love for the FA Cup. I saw that Man United Arsenal last Friday had 7.3 million people watching it, which is effectively like 10th of the country, which is just crazy. So there's definitely still life in the FA Cup, and you know, dramatic comebacks like Millwall against Everton. You know, the less said the better about the off the pitch instance, but you know, on the pitch that was like an incredible game. Onwards with the FA Cup.
Yeah. Jalab, any transfers going on there?
I mean, Yuri Klinsmann has been announced by Leicester City.
It's a decent signing by Leicester.
And there's also a player who's joining Barcelona in July called Jean-Claire Tobidou.
Smashed it.
Tobidou.
Never heard of it. Absolutely never heard of it.
Lyrics.
I've gone for the accent. I don't know if it's helped. I've done Joe Barton.
Never heard of him, but that's like...
Is he Welsh?
It's French, apparently. So we'll go from there. But I guess the more important one is Tielemans. He's gone from Monaco on loan to Leicester City. And Spurs were after him as well.
Yeah, I think that's a great sign. I'm sure we'll back up on Tielemans later. I was going to ask you, Jan. You were telling me earlier in the day that Willian Ever since Paul Merson's called him William, I keep calling him William. But William was linked with someone else.
Yes, Willian was linked to PSG earlier. However, I think there were rumours of like £30 million, and now it's like it's not going to happen at all.
Never.
I think, to be honest, it's just someone trying to sell a paper. I'll be honest, there wasn't too much truth
clubs
into
are
it.
always in for him. Like Barcelona were genuinely offering like 50, 60 mil for him, weren't they?
Yeah, he's
PSG need him. PSG, Neymar, Mbappe, Cavani going forward. I mean, they're doing all right up there.
I guess PSG also have to look as well.
goal.
They've just had Neymar be injured. He's going to miss both Man United games as well.
Yeah.
So that could have been a nice little replacement just for those games. However, I don't think
Imagine
for
being in a
30
position where you
million.
can pay 30 million just to play someone in
6 games.
Imagine,
That's just PSG.
That's what that would have been. That would have been a
literally.
consideration of, because he's, I don't know, Europa League, you're not cup tied, but Champions League. That's what that would have been. And like you said, we're talking about the corporate side of it and the millions and the non-league side. Like the club like to be able to go, we'll take him for 6 months for that kind of money.
Exactly.
Why not?
It's mental.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But yeah, anyway, the other one was Yuri Tielemans. As I said, he's gone to Leicester, and there were rumours he was going to go to Spurs as well. So it's interesting that he's picked Leicester City over someone like Spurs, who also, there's been a rumour that's just announced that Michy Batshuayi is being rumoured to be at Spurs, which I highly doubt.
Was he seen outside the training ground?
Highly doubt.
Much better than Llorente.
Chelsea
Exactly.
Chelsea been in your favour with that. Would you not be happy with that move?
I mean, not if he was to get Spurs into the Champions League instead of Chelsea.
But crazy.
I think
have to pay a lot of money
for me, Batshuayi's a strange one because I think he's really good, and you've seen it before he joined Chelsea how good he was. However, now he needs minutes, and maybe another loan move is fantastic. He wasn't getting minutes at Valencia, so that move to Monaco seemed quite interesting. However, it's not seemed to fall through.
It's the same with Tielemans. Like the link to Monaco. I'm surprised Monaco are letting Tielemans go. They're in a bit of a rogue position at the moment. What do you make of that? Obviously, you played in the French league.
Yeah.
Did you see a drop off like this happening with a club as big as Monaco?
The French league I think, is fun. There's so much talent. It's exciting.
Yeah.
And things like this can happen. I think.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, the team I played with, Lille, nearly got relegated last year, and now they're second or third last year. Do you know what I mean? It's very much
Nicolas
you can go
Pepe.
from top. Yeah.
Killing it.
Jonathan Bamber as well.
But you can go like that. But with the lad Tielemans, young player who I think he got and played in the Champions League when he was 16.
Yeah.
Big talent.
Anderlecht.
He went to Monaco, and by all accounts, it didn't work. And I think when Thierry made him captain, I think the senior players didn't like it being a young player.
Really?
And I think it was like, I think Monaco sounds to me from the outside looking in as a bit of a toxic club at the moment.
It's odd that Jardim came in as someone that cultivates young talent consistently, and then sees this prodigious young player who's, when he arrived from Anderlecht, loads of top clubs wanted him, and he's gone, I'll take Adrien Silva. Is it a swap deal?
Adrien Silva's
Yes, he's gone
on loan
He's
to
played about
Monaco.
10 minutes in the last 6 months.
Oh, he had a whole strange one last season, didn't he? Because it was like 13 seconds, and because of that, he had to wait and just train with the squad. He couldn't play in games.
That'd be so frustrating. Honestly,
I'm not surprised.
His agent will be in trouble.
What is it like as a player on deadline day, Joe?
Good question.
Because obviously people at home will likely never get to experience the pressure and what's happening behind the scenes.
Jalab's still holding out, by the way.
I mean, it's still young.
Yeah, you
can play in the back.
Anything can happen. Look,
Joe can sort you have a trial at Chelsea's academy next week, mate. So
Look, I'm happy to leave FD if that's what it is. It is what it is.
That was a class question, though. So back to the question.
Sorry, what was it?
What's it like being a player on deadline day?
Deadline day, right? Okay. 95% of players, it's just fun, like a fan. You're watching it and you're getting into it. Peter Crouch is hovering in a helicopter above.
Red Cap's out our window.
Harry's turned up. He's like, what's Harry doing today? But when I was involved in it and it wasn't really. I was going to Lille on deadline day, so it was all more or less done the day before deadline day. Actually, I think I signed up deadline day.
When Lille came in for you, what were your thoughts? When you just thought, think why not?
Yeah. Basically, there was my agent had the connections in France. It wasn't working for me at Liverpool. And I just said, I always wanted to play abroad, and they was in the Champions League. I went over to meet them, and training ground's great, team was great. I watched the team before I went there. I watched the team play because I think that's most important for me. Before we even talked about finances or anything like that, it was like, can I play in this team?
See the style.
Really good football team. And I
Enjoyed
went
your
there.
year out there, didn't you?
Yeah, I loved it.
Took
What-
on Hazard.
Yeah,
under
what,
your wing.
what was your first impression of Hazard when you first met him? Everything.
Well,
'Cause he was very young as well.
I think I signed on the Thursday. Well, my first training session was on the Thursday, and I'd just got over there, so I was like, we didn't do much because I'd just arrived in and it was a big day. So then Friday, day before a game, didn't do much, and then the manager pulled me and said, "Listen, I'm going to start you on the bench because I want you to watch how we play,
exactly.
and then you're going to come on for 20 minutes towards the end." I went, "Okay," he said, "and watch this." And Hazard was just epic.
Yeah,
Really. And I was like, "Yeah." This, and then we come on. We went. It was St Etienne. He scored 2. He scored 2, and I come on and I just like thoroughly enjoyed playing with him for 20 minutes. I mean, I think I assisted the last goal. It was 3-1, and I thought it was just such a fun game to play in. And I just knew from as soon as I saw him, he was a special.
Behind the scenes, when you're training with him day in, day out, where does he sort of rank comparatively to some of the other players you played in and with? Because he's right up there, surely now.
Yeah, I think he's the most talented player I've played with.
Really?
Oh, my.
Yeah.
Over Lampard, Drogba.
Yeah, I think he's the most talented, and I mean, it's no disrespect to.
No, of course.
Naturally
It
gifted.
ain't hard. It ain't
Yeah,
bad to be considered second to Eden Hazard.
Oh, definitely.
He's just he's just got everything. And like you said in answer question, he wasn't a great trainer in terms. Some players are great trainers.
Yeah.
And some players ain't, and it's no relevant to what they do on the pitch. Overall, it is like I'm talking for the vast majority of players, like the 95%. You have to train well to get because you have to get your performance in it because it helps. But for the 5% bracket, the top players, half of them train really well, and the other half are not interested too much in training. And he's in that section.
Who was the
when he
best
gets on the
trainer
pitch-
then? If Hazard was not a
Lampard.
Lampard.
Lampard. Yeah, no, he's got from what Lampard, who's obviously would be in that top 5% of players, like one of the a genius. Like he trained so hard as well.
Did he get there because of his hard work, whereas Eden Hazard was naturally blessed?
No. I mean, a lot of people will say, and Frank, I think Frank was naturally talented.
Yeah,
Like, Frank,
of course.
Frank was had a natural instinct. Frank could run into the box blindfolded, and the ball would fall at his feet.
Yeah.
He's just he had an instinct for where
Sense
the
for it, yeah.
sense for it,
Radar,
and that's something that you can't coach. And then what I don't know about Frank. What he does well is when the ball comes to him on the edge of the box, he was the best I've seen at taking his touch into stride. You never saw him striking the ball under his feet or stretching for a ball, and that comes from having a velvet touch. And he was amazing at that. So
Yeah.
Frank, I feel, yes, he was a great hard worker, but he was a real natural talent, I thought, as well.
And Joe, before we were talking about your time at Lille, in your sort of peak, well, not necessarily your peak, but when you were in the part of this incredible Chelsea side between 2004 to about 2007, in those summers when you were playing out of your skin, incredible, England regular, did any big clubs from abroad come in for you then? Was there any tempting to go abroad before your time at Lille? That's what I'm trying to ask.
Yeah, when I left West Ham, my dad and my agent went to Valencia, who just won the league in Spain, I think. In that
was it under Benitez? I can't remember. Was it?
I can't remember. It might have been under.
I can see it now, Joe. Long hair, headband.
Yeah. I'm
floating around in
Joe
number 10.
Coolio.
It was, yeah. 2 wristbands on again.
It was part of the contract. It was part of the contract. You had to wear a head. They would come in, and there was sniffs of. They was obviously that was down the line because they went out and saw him, and there was sniffs of Barcelona.
Oh.
But it was Valencia were the team at that time.
Yeah.
Barca were
lagging a bit, yeah.
It was when Ronaldinho went there and Quaresma, and I think I was.
So that could have been a free of
No,
Quaresma, Cole and Ronaldinho.
I think by all accounts, Ronaldinho was signed as the marquee signing, and Quaresma went there as a young player, he's the same age as me, I think, or a bit younger. They might develop into a Barcelona player, and I think I was probably in that bracket when I was thinking, we'll take him as Ronaldinho was the main man, and then we'll take him as someone like whom we can develop, play maybe on the right,
who profiles like a Barca player.
It was along there, but like I said, it didn't go too far down the line. But it was.
And it didn't really work out for Quaresma there anyway. So you might be completely different, but
Yeah,
God, it must be so flattering having a club like Barcelona come in for you.
Yeah, I mean it's amazing. Like, listen, they didn't. I wouldn't.
It wasn't
I'm not
fair,
saying
but
it
yeah.
was like you don't know how much, but these clubs. I mean, there's always been talks in the paper of all the big clubs are sniffing around, but it never got to the point of a bids because I was always happy.
Yeah.
At Chelsea.
Should have come to United, Joe.
You should have come to United. There's still time for you as well, Jalab, mate.
Yeah.
I'm currently committed to FTFC. You know, it is what it is.
Yeah. Sunday League.
Some say I'm, a leader on the pitch. Not legend yet, but yeah, Sunday League, seven-a-side.
Playing for it. So
I mean, if you fancy it,
You
seven-a-side
definitely do a
game.
seven-a-side player.
like
Joe.
Shoreditch.
That's a verbal contract.
That's a verbal contract. He's agreed to that.
I've already played at Shoreditch.
Yeah?
Yeah, in the Power League. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Why
nice.
did you come and play for FD then?
We might be in the same league Wednesday nights.
Oh,
my
my
God. We are
I will not be playing.
We're dropping out. We're going 9-0.
I'll be ill that week.
Are you actually playing seven-a-side down?
I think it's five-a-side.
But do you do it regularly?
Well, no, I've done twice.
So you're just playing against random
Alright.
people. When you step on
So
pitch,
you
they're
just
sort of like,
rock up?
oh my God, it's Joe Cole.
Yeah.
You just tear it apart. How many goals have you scored in a game with five-a-side?
I know. A respectful amount.
It's him. He gets the old boys back together. Frank comes up.
Yeah,
JT's at the back.
Who's in the team?
Well, we got some of the boys from the office, and Bridgie played last.
Sorry,
night.
so
What day is it? It's Thursday.
At some
It's not-
stage,
we played last night. Yeah.
no, you
1-9.
didn't.
Yeah, we did.
So at some
9-4.
stage, Wayne Bridge are in the same side against just a lawyer's firm.
Yeah.
Against Dave.
They might have been lawyers. They might have been lawyers actually.
Joe, what was the score?
9-4. We
Last
won.
Oh, you still
I
should
mean-
score. Bridgie can't have been happy.
Yeah. Well,
How many
we're
did
old
you
now,
get?
aren't we?
Little hat trick?
3 or 4.
God, I could have Genie in goal.
No,
Chelsea boys back together. Get the band back together.
Class.
Yeah, that's good. I enjoy it. I love football. I will never turn down a game.
Cool, remember
I mean,
that.
remember that. Get ready.
You're coming in next Wednesday. Although you'll have to replace Sam, who's behind a camera, and he scored 9 last Wednesday
Well,
for
I've
us.
not done that yet, Sam. So maybe one day, if I'm good and I train hard and eat the right food, maybe I'll get 9 goals.
Let's have it right. I'm straight on the team.
It's very true.
You line it with Sam.
Let's go back to social corner then. Keep your questions coming in. What we got, Dorman?
So the next question comes from Flamingo Play Games, who's asked, what are your thoughts on Denis Suarez to Arsenal?
This is the first time we've probably not had an Arsenal fan on one of our live streams.
Really?
I don't know much about Denis Suarez. I feel like he's been a little bit left out in the cold at Barcelona.
I think I played against him when he played for Man City.
Yeah, he was
against
City,
West Ham in the League Cup.
Oh, really?
And he ripped us, yeah. Yeah.
What position was he playing?
He was sort of just coming in off. I think I was playing a 4 at the time, and he was popping in off the left and right. They was much better than us.
They've played him everywhere, haven't they? Barcelona, across the midfield.
I mean, he's a talented player. I think he's in the mould of, remember Suso, who used to play at Liverpool?
Yeah.
So
now doing really well at Milan, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I can see why. I mean, I think he's looking like he's a long-term replacement for an Ozil.
Really?
I think that's probably looking from an outsider looking in at Arsenal. Maybe they're thinking that Ozil's on the later side,
bit
late
of a Ramsey
20s.
as well, more industrious midfielder.
Yeah, he's someone who can get on the ball and make things happen and score a goal. But again, I think Emery's doing a good job.
Yeah, I think Arsenal has been
well.
a bit overly negative about it.
He spent nothing.
Being a fringe player at Barca is like
absolutely
like
no black mark on your record, is it?
Yeah, no, nothing. And even I think Coutinho there's talk of him
in and out the side,
and he was one of the best players in the league here. So that's another level that Barcelona. This Barcelona.
The demands
team now
on
in
it,
this
it's
era
just it's crazy.
Especially if you're in a position like Denis Suarez.
He's had to.
You got to be Messi.
Yeah, well, think about it. If you're Suarez, you're Coutinho, you're replacing Iniesta, probably the greatest midfielder of our generation.
Yeah.
So that's a tall ask for anyone. So and it's no slight on you as a player if it doesn't quite happen.
Yeah, I completely agree. I don't know where he's going to play. I personally think he might end up playing on the right.
Right.
Occasionally they've played a 4 across that midfield, haven't they? And Iwobi's kind of drifted out onto the left, and then you've seen...
A few Arsenal fans in the office think he'll
end up playing a 4, and then it'll be Guendouzi and Xhaka, or Guendouzi and Torreira, and then Dennis on the right.
I like this Arsenal side. I think I like Emery, and I like what he's done.
Why do you like him?
With the team.
Because he's got a bit of flack, isn't he?
I like the way he's come in and he set his team up, and I think there's been a clear. And by the way, big respect to Wenger for everything he achieved. But towards the end, there's been a big. I think there's been in the identity of the team, and his personality is imprinted on the team straight away.
Yeah.
And I think he's done it with a squad that's probably not as talented as what Arsenal have had.
Yeah, barely even his, is it? He needs another 2 or 3 windows.
And players players are coming and going, and so yeah, I think he's done a good job, and I think a good signing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think the issue with their squad is mainly the balance. I'd say it's very top heavy, and they've had massive injuries this year. So the likes of Bellerin's now out for the season. Holdings has spent time out. Koscielny, Monreal.
Socrates has done his ankle now.
Has done his ankle as well. So I think that while they've been aiming for wingers and midfielders this window, they really should have gone for a couple of defenders.
Part of the frustration of the fans isn't that it's Denis Suarez; it's that it's not a really reliable centre back.
Exactly.
Bentaleb used to play for Spurs.
Algerian.
Who's the Juventus player that's just gone
Benatia.
to Benatia for 8 million? He would have been perfect for Arsenal.
Yeah, I think where did he go in the end?
He went to
Qatar, somewhere like Saudi Arabia, which is really crazy because Benatia they've let go, and then they've had an injury to Chiellini, and now they're fishing around players like Benatia. Yeah, they brought in Martin Caceres has come back, so it's a bit of an odd one for me. But Arsenal as a whole, I think we're expecting to be in a top 4 battle, and that's exactly where they are. Yeah. They were never going to be coming in under Unai Emery and going, we're winning the league this season. We're competing with Liverpool and City for 60, 70 points at this stage of the season. It's not going to happen. They must have been expecting to come in and go, you know what, we're going to compete for top 4. It's going to be a year of transition, and they must be pretty happy with that. I know that Arsenal fans in the office aren't.
Yeah, but these are Arsenal fans that also expect them winning the Premier League every season.
Yeah, but it's just not going to happen. You need transitional time under a new manager.
100%.
Because you must have experienced it, Joe, where managers have come in midway through the season or there's been a big overhaul, and it takes time to gel under a new boss.
It does, and I think even more so in this era because it's more competitive in terms of the clubs of your likes of Tottenham and Man City have joined the party. Liverpool have come back. It's so the Premier League's so competitive. That's why it's the best league in the world. So when it's difficult for fans to sit back and have real perspective and go right. Because one day I might be a manager of a club and I'll be sitting there and I'll be trying to, I know the work that's doing and it's kind of going to come good, but the fans just want it. They want it yesterday. They want it yesterday. So transitional periods, and people have to look at it with perspective. That's why I think he's done a good job.
I mean, talk of winning it yesterday. Liverpool fans utterly convinced they're going to win the league this year. Obviously, he played there for a very limited amount of time. The pressures that come with being a Liverpool player. How have you what has impressed you about them in particular this season?
I'd say what's
been the biggest step up, the noticeable difference?
Well, it's been Van Dijk, ain't it, and the goalkeeper. I think what the club's done well, and it's probably old-fashioned to me, from what my understanding is, Jurgen Klopp gets in players that Jurgen Klopp wants, and there's no compromise. And I think when clubs, this fashion to get director of football and teams of scouts and it starts, it's like you put too much ingredients in the soup.
Too many chefs.
And they end up signing players, and like you said, you'll end up what you really need is a centre half, and you might end up signing 2 wingers because they'll look at stats and what he's worth and what he can get him for fun. I think Jurgen Klopp's just gone, right, I've got 4 or 5 years here, I'm going to build this team. Right, Robertson's coming in, Gomez, and then I'm going to get I need Van Dijk. Right, I need a goalkeeper because maybe the goalkeeper cost us in the Champions League. Like logical things. You think of the Champions League final when you think if they would have had Van Dijk and the keeper, they're probably
Salah staying fit in that game as well.
Which team would you prefer to play in? Man City, this Man City side or this Liverpool side?
That's a great question.
I'd like to have played I'd like to have played under both managers. I think I really got massive respect for them. I think every pure footballer would want to play for Pep Guardiola. Wouldn't they? Yeah. I mean.
So slightly diplomatic, but you're going Pep. You're going Man City.
I'm going Pep, but only because with Pep, I mean, he just seems like this genius, don't he?
He's like a god, isn't he? Everybody looks at Pep and is like, I've got to pay for that man.
That Barcelona side, arguably the best club side ever.
I mean, he's amazing, and it would have been he nearly signed. He was offered to West Ham. When he was coming to the end of his career.
I remember this story.
And it was he talks about he wanted to come to England and nobody took him. And I've always been a big fan of European football. And speaking to the manager at the time, Glenn, I mean, I was like,
why did that not happen? Was there did you ever hear anything about it?
I don't know. You have chats with the manager. although I was 20, 21 at the time, I was a senior player because I was in the England squad and that, and so you chats with the manager and he picks your brains because he wants to know what do you think the group would think about this player or that player.
And one of the players was Pep.
And one of the players was Pep Guardiola, and I said, well,
Was this after Roma or was it after, where was it,
can't remember
Sampdoria,
it. I
Brescia?
remember the timeline.
Yeah.
Brescia time. Like, I can't remember the timeline, but that would have been a great.
Would have been
I mean, because I was always, like I said, I watched him play. Big fan of European football, and I knew what.
Did you feel like a slightly continental club? Because everyone's always kind of had you down as that British player who that rare number 10 that we've produced. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't. I feel like that. I had an instinct as a kid that I think we're doing it a bit wrong here, chaps. You know, with this 4-4-2.
4-4-2. It's
I just had an instinct that we'd had that wrong. You know, and I just felt that the Spanish and the Italians and the French and that might be a little bit more.
Love that. Just you as a 12-year-old saying, "Can we try 4-3-3?"
Yeah, come on. Let's just shift the ball. Bit tiki-taka.
And I don't know. Maybe I think we're competing tactically and technically nowadays with the coaching, particularly young English teams and the young English players. But I had an instinct growing up and as a young player and I was right when I started working with your Mourinho's and your Ranieris and that. I felt there was a level that went up tactically and technically and an attention to detail and philosophy and football.
You can feel the influence coming through.
I could feel it, and I think we've caught up now. I think even the English managers who've been managing years and years, I think they've improved from having the foreign coaches come over here. But now we need to let them flourish.
That's really interesting.
We need to get Stevie. We need Stevie G to do well. We need Frank to do
not
well.
a Rangers though.
Oh no, you're
big Celtic fan, isn't he?
Yeah.
Come on, Jack.
I'm being selfish for the English game.
Yeah,
here. We need these young.
Joe, I just wanted to touch on
on
something you mentioned earlier about Jurgen Klopp now getting the players that he wants. I totally agree with that. It seems very, great strategy at Liverpool at the moment. You obviously joined Liverpool under Hodgson, and I think it had very different owners then. Was it? Was it the two Americans?
Yes.
What was that like to play? What
Gillette
era
hits.
was that like to play at Liverpool?
Well, I was like talk about that was a transitional era. I mean, that was
a mess.
I know that's the way that's a car way. That was absolutely disastrous.
I signed for Liverpool, and I don't know, you don't know who signed you in terms of because 3 or 4 weeks after I signed, a new ownership coming, and then we was getting clear indications that I wasn't wanted. So it was tough.
Was that when Comely was the director of football as well?
He came in after that.
He came on after.
Yeah, but it was the Hicks and Gillette sold it to the new guys, and they new people, whole new people come in. They've all got new ideas, all got new players. They want to come in. So yeah, it was a great club, but the wrong time for me. And
do you look back and regret that you joined Liverpool? Would you rather have stayed at Chelsea or join another club? Or
Sell together, offer you a contract.
Oh God!
I don't think if you're looking for 4-3-3, it's not Scotland.
Not in them eras.
Now under Big Brendan.
Yeah. It didn't work out. We all things didn't work out. You always, maybe I could have gone there, maybe done, but I did it in good faith. I did it for the right reasons.
Yeah.
It is a great club with great city, a great history, but it was an uphill battle. As soon as you arrive 3 weeks in and you find out that you're not wanted, it's
the
tough.
circumstances change.
I dug it out. I tried to change people's minds, but then the body started letting me down. But I felt if I'd have been given a bit more nurturing, maybe it could have been different. But I don't blame anyone else. It is what it is. It's one of them things.
Decent. Should we get some more fan questions, Joey, or what?
Yeah, go on then, Dorman. We've also got Past the Mastermind coming up, so get ready for that, Hamill. Let's get a question while Hamill prepares for that.
Yes, the next question comes from Solo Gaming HD, who has asked, do you think there's a reason that transfer flops have become such a regularity in the last 10 years?
Me? I think it's the pressure. I think it's the pressure of the money. If you come into a club and there's a £80 million weight on your shoulders, I think you've got to hit the ground running.
It'd be interesting to know, if there's more transfers now than there was. There's more players, isn't there? I remember there was 15 lads. 15, 16 lads in the squad when I was young, and now everybody's got a 30-man squad or something. So, is it that? At the end of the day, if you sign in 5 or 6 players and you've already got 20 players, they can't all play. So, a few of them are going to be flops. So
I also think. Yeah, sorry, Joe.
Yeah, no.
I also think what's termed as a flop now is probably quite different. When players move for 30, 40 million pounds, if it doesn't instantly have an impact, then you're termed a flop. And I think it's the nature of our media, it's the nature of social media coming in. Everyone's so determined to write people off or build people up as soon as they come in. And some players need time.
Yeah, spot on. Spot on.
Yeah, and also I think I just think it's the time, 21st century.
Yeah, I don't really know if I can add much more to that, to be honest. I think a lot of players, it is the money. You talk about Lukaku, you talk about Morata. Morata was joined and became like one of the most expensive Chelsea signings we'd ever done.
Everybody's got a voice as well on social media.
Yeah.
There's nowhere to hide now. A fan can say he needs to go or he's performing poorly and it can be heard by a million people.
What I find as well, I think nowadays, like, because obviously coaching that, you try and understand the youth, the young players and the youth. I think you're living in like an outrage culture. I think
everything's sensationalised.
Yeah. We don't. That right back made a mistake, and he's getting sorted, and then everyone jumping on him, and then
chasing him down.
You know, and that's no criticism to any young people. I just think that's how it seems to be. You know? And as a player now, that's the challenge these young players have got to deal with. You know, which we didn't have. I've seen some players get away with murder, making 4 or 5 mistakes.
Yeah,
but because they're the fans' favourite, it's not as, you know, and all of a sudden the fans, after about 2 or 3 months, then they he's not very good now. Now we get on him. Yeah. But nowadays it seems if a player makes mistakes, there's a lot.
Straight away, first game.
These young players have got a lot of stress to deal with in that.
Which goes against some recent comments by Michael Stewart, who's a pundit on Scottish football, saying that young players don't know how to process like anxiety and might be prone to getting depressed because they don't, maybe they're mollycoddled to an extent. But they are, if they're active on social media, they are open to a lot of criticism.
Exactly. So I think there's a lot. I mean, a lot of my peers and my colleagues will say, and it is a better environment in terms of like you're not getting hammered as much in the actual building. But outside of the building, social media, you know, we're getting a bit off track here, but you know. Then they have to deal with that side of things, and then you go into like it happened in society with online bullying. You know? If you was bullied at school as a kid, as soon as that bell went, you went home and you was fine. But nowadays, you know.
I mean, when you were a player,
it's a tough subject.
When you were in the academies growing up, what was? Because I've watched obviously Class 92 documentary, and some of the things they're saying in that, I was like, what the hell? This is actually happening. Was that sort of stuff happening with you as well?
Well, like when they put skulls in a
tumble dryer, turn him on, didn't they? They're drawing.
We've done all sorts of things like that. I mean, nothing really I'd like to put on. You know, but we didn't. Again,
one of your under 13s like, oh, that's what you.
You're trying to tell us to behave yourself, and you did that. It was really. It was a different time.
The senior pros.
Senior pros were, and you got to choose your words carefully when you're trying to, and rightfully so, because if you're talking to a young player, you know your job is to help them.
Mm-hmm.
I think first and foremost as a coach, I think your job is to help. How can you help this young player, this young man develop? And if you come from that angle, I think it's never going to. Very, very rarely will it be a clip round the ear or will be the right thing to do it. There's a way to talk. There's a way to try and engage them. And I just think nowadays, I think that's better for the young players. But the other side of it, the social media side, I can imagine would be very tough to deal with if you're not mature enough.
Yeah. Have you noticed a sort of shift in, because I think we sort of have in punditry in recent years, in that player, you know, people on the sofas are more picking out players for their social media antics or the sort of changing culture in young players and their dancing, their celebrations. And it's something that quite frustrates us. I mean, how do you take it? I mean, do you think it's something that's relevant? I mean, I often hear criticism of Paul Pogba for his social media antics, but you know, this is an ultra professional that doesn't drink. So
exactly. You're spot on there, because like I've heard about the lad and that, you know, and he's a professional. You know, you look to him. How he represented himself for France, you know, he really took it on. You know, he's had a bit of a bad, he's had a bit of a bad spell and he got a lot of stick. I think it might be quite lazy to just, you know, what they do on the pitch is you can criticise him, and it's fair game what they do on the pitch, because you're paid to analyse them. Whether he sells hats or he does that, it's, you know. It might be affecting him. It might be a welcome release to
In a positive way.
You might enjoy social media.
You're not going to dig out anyone for rogue haircuts either, are you?
No, I've had a few.
That red flick at the back.
Oh my God. See, that was a beast. Yeah, you're right. But that was, I had that for, talking about the power of media, I had that for one day.
Really?
Yeah. I wasn't rolling around with that. I had it for one day.
I actually never saw it.
It was a bet. It was in a barber shop in East London, and it was just a bet, like really. Yeah.
What was it? A little rat's tail? I've never seen it.
It was just like a little red thing. It was just terrible. So like we all make, like you know, we all make decisions off the pitch. I did some terrible things. I did some stupid things as a kid off the pitch, and I wouldn't expect any of my, if I'm a manager, any of my young players, they will make mistakes. You will have to put them up on it if you're the authority position. You know, you can't be free reign to go and do everything. You'll have to tell them when they're wrong and why they're wrong, because.
Yeah.
But
you're right. It's not as black and white as people.
You can't slaughter people for that. You just got to let them live their life, and their job's to perform as footballers. And I've played with some players who live a terrible life off the pitch, not healthy at all, and when they're on the pitch, they're winners. You know, and that's all that matters. You know, not all that matters. That's wrong. It's not all that matters. If you're a manager, that's how you should judge them. What they do when they step on the pitch. Give them the guidance on how to live the right life, and listen. You might say to him, "Listen, we're having a bad time. Why don't you just slow down on the social media for a bit? You know, because it will be perceived as this. But, I know you do it for that, and try and educate them like that." Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, you even saw Kyle Walker today being told to take down his post about Harry Maguire taking the piss out of Liverpool. So it's, it happens every single day.
Exactly, and it's like. It's the way of the world now.
It's the 21st century, isn't it? Right, should we go to personal mastermind then, Chris? Do you want to explain what personal mastermind is?
Yeah, so it's how well you know yourself, basically. 2 minutes. Joe's going to
got the
stick it on the clock.
2 minutes quiz about yourself here.
Jelab's our resident producer on FDFC, where personal mastermind normally goes. Who's top of the leaderboard at the moment?
Darren Bent.
Really?
I'm pretty sure it's something like
goal scorers
19?
love stats though, didn't he? That's why.
He turned to Rain Man when we did this. He was like bang, bang, bang.
To be fair, I think Hector
Hector's on 12.
Really?
But 19 is a hard score to beat. Basically, just hope you know yourself very well.
Okay. 2 minutes on the clock then. It's not too hard. Chris is going to ask you the questions. I'll keep clock.
I'll count the scores. Me and you both count.
Yeah, I'll just be here for the atmosphere.
Yeah,
perfect. Moral support. Right.
Exactly.
Come on, Joe.
Right, let's do it. Are you ready?
Right.
3, 2, 1, go.
Right, so you were sold to London rivals Chelsea in 2003, but what was your price tag?
6.6 million.
Correct.
Superb.
Who claimed Joe Cole was better than Lionel Messi in 2010?
Steven Gerrard.
Correct. Who did you score your first hat-trick for Lille against?
If you get this.
No. Chantilly.
Yeah, that's correct. What number were you wearing when you scored that goal against Sweden?
11.
Correct.
Superb.
How many Instagram followers do you have right now?
110,000?
Close enough. You were signed by Chelsea on the 6th of August 2003, but what day was this?
Day of the week? It's Friday?
Oh no, it's the Lord's Day, Sunday. When you were sent off against Arsenal for Liverpool, who did you take out?
I know this. Koscielny.
Correct. How many goals were you and Eden Hazard involved in together at Lille?
In all competitions?
Yes.
10?
It's between 1 and 5, because that's quite an outrageous question.
Okay. 2.
4. What manager gave you your first England call-up?
Kevin Keegan.
Correct. How many trophies did you win at Chelsea? All comps.
6.
10. Back yourself. Who did you play the most matches with in your career? I mentioned him already on this stream. Correct.
Nice.
How many goals did you score for England at senior level?
10.
Also correct. Who did you play against the most times in your career? Did you pitch up against? Also a winger.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
But a more traditional
A lot of
winger.
chest hair.
A lot of chest there.
Giggs.
Yes. What was the biggest win you were ever involved in? Well, against the
Chelsea
maybe.
against Wigan.
I need the score though. What was it?
7-0.
Oh, 8-0. What team did you score your only
5,
penalty against?
4,
Came late in your career.
3,
New York Cosmos.
Correct.
2.
How old were you made your England
1.
debut?
20.
19.
Oh!
So close.
How many was it?
Though. And we normally give them a little bit longer than 2 minutes.
we do,
So let's be right. So chance for one last question.
Okay, one last question. I'll give it
Against Sweden in World Cup 2006, who did you assist for England's second goal?
Stevie G.
Correct.
Yes,
That's
had it
a
on.
way to finish.
12 points.
Oh,
He's
level
on
with Bellerin.
Bellerin.
Level with Bellerin. That's a decent
I
one.
also think Dave Batista, the wrestler.
Yeah, I do.
That was a weird collaboration.
That was a weird one.
The big lad from James Bond.
Dangerous
lunchboxes, apparently. Yeah, that was his style.
Nice guy, though.
You wouldn't banter him about that.
No, to be fair. Right, let's get some more questions for the fans at home then. Dorman.
Yes, so I had a question now, but I've literally just lost it.
Really good from you, Peter.
Very professional as always. This question comes from John Vega, who's asked, James Rodriguez looks like he's on his way out of Bayern, but what Premier League side would he fit best in?
Great question.
Wow.
Great question. Do you want to do it, lads? I mean, I've talked a lot. So
I reckon he would fit really nicely as the attacking midfielder in that three at Chelsea in the left-hand side,
Don't tease
where
me.
Mateo Kovacic is at the moment. You've got Jorginho sitting a bit deeper. And I would prefer to see Kante dropped a little bit, and then James given the free rein to be that attacking threat.
I thoroughly agree. I think I'm actually annoyingly I've been a little bit disappointed with Kovacic this season. I think he carries the ball really well and actually quite Hazard-like, but his end product isn't quite as good as what I kind of hoped for.
Do you think that's because he's not got an awful lot of game time?
I know. I more so think it's just not in his locker. I just don't think it's in his locker to score the amount of goals that position requires.
That's probably a fair comment.
I really like Kovacic. I know what you're saying, but what I think he does well is that role between the defence and attack. He drives with the ball so well.
Really well.
He's the guy to get you out of a tight area, drive with the ball, and then find a Pedro or a Hazard, and then they'll do their thing. But he works very hard. But I do understand what you're saying. But I like him, mate. I think he's one of his stats won't be great, but I think he's just a good footballer all round.
He's class. He's class.
I also think James is the sort of signing that would put Tottenham back on the map in terms of the transfer market. If Tottenham went out and go, you know what, we're going to chuck money at get James. We need forward options. We need a little bit more creativity when Eriksen isn't particularly firing.
He broke through Monaco on the right as well, didn't he? So he can play on the right.
I don't see why Tottenham wouldn't go out and offload the money. Clearly, he's not going to be in favour when he goes back to Madrid, because I think he's still over on loan at Bayern, is he?
Do you not think Spurs
have the option to make it?
I just don't think Spurs have the money though, do they? That's the problem. The stadium and
he's seen his wages at Bayern, then it's like 7.
it just wouldn't happen.
Okay, right, maybe Tottenham.
I think though Real Madrid would be crazy to let him go. To be honest, I don't see him. If you were a new manager and you expect to have a new manager at Real Madrid in the summer, even though they gave Solari that 2-year deal, I would want James Rodriguez in my roster.
Particularly as Solari's not massively keen on Isco either.
Exactly.
Which is crazy.
Do you keep... Oh no, man.
Do you like Isco? You're a bit Isco-y?
I love Isco.
Touch of the Isco.
Isco.
Well, I think he's different.
Touch of Joe Cole about Isco.
Especially when he shaves his head.
Yeah, I really like him. I'm a big fan of his Isco. I wanted him to come to the Premier League, but 2 years ago it was a bit...
Very close to joining Tottenham, wasn't he?
And Man City as well.
Man City.
He's a baller.
On transfers, do you, in your current role in Chelsea, do you ever get a little say? Could you be like, James Rodriguez, guys?
This is for Zach again.
I mean, say yes, and I've got a list for you.
To one of the directors. No, I'm not. I'm way down the pecking order, unfortunately. Well, maybe one.
Give it a year or two, and I'll text you all the boys. I think every single one of them. However, whilst we're on about transfers,
have we had one?
I mean. Let's not get our hopes too high. Is it going to be
amazing?
Celtic-wise.
Oh, hello.
Tojan has apparently
from Dortmund. Yes.
On loan,
They're
potentially.
not buying anyone, are they? From Dortmund. I
think you've got that on screen there in excitement.
The other thing I would say, other transfer is a Chelsea-related one. Lucas Piazon has gone on loan to the 42nd Chelsea loanee to Chievo Verona. Listen to these stats he had at Chelsea: 1 game, 1 shot on target, 1 penalty missed, 1 assist, 1 win.
That's a bloody hell of a game, isn't it? Hell of it.
My last 5
And I'm pretty sure he came on as a sub as well.
Not quite on the same note as Piazza, but what do you make, Joe, of the English players, the young English players that are starting to go abroad real young now? You see Jadon Sancho out at Dortmund. Lookman's out there. I think actually Emil Smith-Rowe has just joined RB Leipzig as well from Arsenal.
Fantastic.
What do you make of that?
Good little player.
I think it's good for them. I think it's great for the English game if they go there and play. You know, I don't think we should fall in the trap and just think because Jadon Sancho has gone out there and he's been fantastic, it might not work for the other lads. They might not settle on it. But fair play to the boys for going and doing it.
Anyone ask you for advice?
Who did I speak to?
As like one of 3 British players that's gone abroad
last
10 years.
There was a young lad. The name's gone, but there was a young lad who was considering it to go to France. He didn't go in the end, but I spoke to him and you know he did his thing. But in terms of what they're doing is great. I think the Germans are very clever as well as they have been footballing wise. They understand if they bring them in, play them for 30, 40, 50 games, their stock goes up and they can sell them back. Do you know what I mean? So there's a business model from that side of it, and it's giving the young lads opportunities, which is great for us. So yeah, I'm embrace it. I mean, but if you're already here. This is the top of the mountain for me. If you're playing in the Premier League like Hudson-Odoi and you're playing and you're 18, even though Bayern Munich's Bayern Munich, the Premier League's where it's at. If you're an Englishman, playing for your club over here.
I do think for the national team though, it's really good. I think that's one thing that maybe we've struggled with, even somewhat in your generation, when everybody was in the Premier League, we didn't have the experience of other leagues. So when we played other national sides, when you see the Spanish, they'd already played against a lot of the English players and they'd mixed in with cultures, and the Germans had done the same. I think the English, maybe a little bit insular. Do you think that's something that maybe cost your generation a little bit?
It'll be one of a few things that cost us, but I think travel broadens the mind, don't it? I think that's the saying, and I think it, particularly with football, I think it you'll go into them games and you won't be taken aback. It'll be usual, you know. And I think playing in the Premier League is the toughest.
I think what could have been in a parallel universe, Joe Cole, long hair, headband, Valencia lining up against Steven Gerrard when Jose tried to bring him over to Madrid. Maybe Stevie G might grow this. Nah, I can't see Stevie G.
Stevie wouldn't grow.
Is that the same haircut?
He actually has.
I've been dying to ask you all night about England, though. I think that leads us on pretty well to your time in the national setup, which was really, really successful. Was there? I mean, there's so many questions all about it, but which was the squad that you felt was your best chance in terms of the manager, the squad at the time, the tactics? Which felt like the biggest opportunity?
The best opportunity was 2004 and 2006, that era. Both of them times was the best side technically that we had. I just think we got it wrong tactically.
At what stage do you think? Could you tell when you were in that team that the tactics weren't right for you, or do you think it's a retrospective thing when you look back?
Who's
retrospective.
4 and 6? I'm forgetting.
Sven. It's a retrospective thing, I think, and none of us were strong enough characters to really go to the manager
and say this
isn't right for us. You don't think it at the time, but looking back on it, it's just logical, ain't it? Like Steven Gerrard and Frank Lampard. Yeah, you can go and put Scholesy in the holding position, or Michael Carrick, who was helplessly underused for England. You know, play a 4-3-3. You can go Michael Owen up top. Rooney was playing off the left at the time. You could have had myself, Beckham, delivering balls. There's a lot.
Sean Wright Phillips at the time.
Sean Wright Phillips at the time. Theo Walcott emerged after that, but we had the back four was solid,
settled,
and they didn't need as much protection as we gave them. That was a crazy thing, but we was very much passive in our tactics in terms of we was 4-4-2, but it was rigid, and the back four was the best in the world, and they didn't need as much protection, and we would have had more chance to go and hold the ball and create and things. But
so when people talk about that period and they talk about Paul Scholes on the left, were you as a player like, what is Paul doing on the left wing?
I think Scholesy was thinking that himself. Yeah, I mean,
he's my favourite player of all time. What was he like to train with, play with?
He's sensational. Talk about, he was a good trainer.
Really,
he performed in training. He was just. He'd get you. He was just amazing. He could just. he seemed to have like the wing mirrors on where the ball will come to him and he just turn it around the corner first time and it'll be
never get near him.
You couldn't get near him. He's just an amazing player, and he should have played. He should have either played on the top of a diamond for England, or he could have played at the bottom of a diamond. You know, and you'd have used him more. He should have played more, that's for sure.
Yeah, it was such a shame.
What did you? Because you obviously went Sven and then Capello came in, who was almost completely different personality-wise, obviously with McLaren in between. But Capello came in with these big wages, big reputation. I remember just before the 2010 World Cup, he released that index. I always wanted to know from a player's perspective, did that sort of erode trust between player and management?
Remind me the index thing.
So it was effectively like, do you know there's that you can bet on players' ability, but it's a virtual game. He sort of released a game version of that.
Yes, I remember.
So you'd rank
briefly.
like Frank Lampard would be an 8.9 and a Gerrard might be an 8.8 or something like that.
Not great.
I mean, maybe it didn't.
Well,
Obviously.
listen, I don't even remember it. So it didn't bother me. Maybe the lads who maybe was a bit. No, I wasn't
because Rooney said. I remember when Rooney said that he passed him in the corridor, and it was like he was looking through him.
yeah. He had a very stern demeanour. Let's put it that way. That like.
He's pretty much set you up in a prison camp for 2010 World Cup.
Yeah, I think like retrospect, like obviously Fabio, he had a big reputation, and if you look retrospectively, what them lads did they need the hammer? Did they need to be trapped, or did the whole setup need to be a bit more fun, like what Gareth's made it, a bit more engaging, a bit more?
What do you make of the Gareth setup?
I think Gareth Southgate's different class. I would have loved to have played him.
Yeah.
I played under him. I played with him for England. So, you know.
Did you think at the time it'd be a good manager? A lot of people are kind of.
I wasn't really thinking that forward at the time. But I got on with Gareth. He's one of the good senior pros in the squad, and he looked. You know, we spent a lot of time.
Bloody good guy, isn't he?
Just a good guy. Nobody can say a bad word about him, but. I wouldn't imagine you'd want to cross him.
Really?
No.
I watched it on Bear Grylls as well. He wasn't having anything.
Really?
Yeah.
Crawley boys.
Bear getting along well.
There you go. Listen, you can roll with Bear, then you're all right.
Every future England manager has to go through Bear Grylls.
He was like falling off the back of a cliff, and Bear was like, "Oh, now the pressure's not so high."
Yeah,
great. I've got some news, boys.
Transfer news.
And it actually comes from Ornstein. He's quite a trusted journalist.
Yeah.
Apparently, Crystal Palace have been given the chance to get Batshuayi on loan for the
good
rest of
signing
the
for them, 'cause
season.
Benteke
Very good signing for
not
them.
scoring goals, is he?
Imagine him in
signing.
Zaha up front along with Townsend. It'd be exciting.
I was sorry for Wolves at times this year, playing alongside Andros up front. Not like they're two not great players, but you know they're not their best coming in off the flanks.
Yeah.
And Benteke, as Chris mentioned, hasn't really worked out for him.
Poor old Benteke,
They had
man.
Soloth last year, who just came in, didn't really get an opportunity. He's now out on loan.
In
Belgium.
Belgium.
In Belgium. So getting a number 9 in of Batshuayi's quality would be a real scoop.
And there's actually the potential of a permanent as well, which I wouldn't have thought Chelsea would have put in,
Roy Hodgson,
to be
big
honest.
one,
But fair play to them. Not only that,
fair play to Palace.
it is. It's a fantastic signing. I think they've been needing a striker
They
for
need
a
some
while.
support
I
for
think
Zaha.
We've needed a signing.
Wickham.
Yeah. Come on, Bats.
He came back. Everton have rejected PSG's bid for Idrissa Gueye.
What, second bid?
Second
The
bid,
26 million.
Didn't they come in originally about 24?
Yeah,
So they've gone 2 million up.
I like
That's
just.
like
I
Neil
think.
for
I think what PSG have done is they've identified they wanted N'Golo Kante potentially, and that style of player, and it's not been able to
Have you
happen.
seen Idrissa Gueye's defensive numbers?
I played with him
Insane.
in France, in Lille. He didn't get in our team.
Really?
Yeah, he was a great player in training. I remember playing the game. He was a younger player, obviously, and he was the one that sort of come in the midfield. He was number 4 of the midfield three, filling in the positions. Really talented player. You could have got him for peanuts.
Was he as busy in training as he was on the pitch? I bet you're like, leave it.
Yeah, he's a strong boy. Very much like Kante, but I don't think he's at that level. But yeah, he's a top player.
Yeah, so it's really interesting. Should we rattle off some quick fire questions? I think we've only got you for about another 10 minutes, Joe, before you bounce off. Right. A lot of these have been submitted by the fans in the week. We've been asking for people. So I Am Mayor says, when you're at Chelsea, what signing were you most excited by?
Shevchenko. When
Really?
He came in. Yeah, because
was there a buzz around the place immediately?
A massive buzz around the place because it was like European Footballer of the Year.
Yeah.
Wasn't he? We'd all heard about it, and you know, obviously didn't work for Sheva, but great guy. Really fitted in well with the squad. Everyone liked him. But he was exciting when we signed him. Yeah.
Yeah. What was he like to play with?
He was a
day in, day out.
Because
he didn't quite work out,
He just struggled. I think he had a bad hip when he signed, and he, like similar to his body wouldn't let him probably do what he wanted to do.
What his mind wanted to do.
But there was moments where you're like, wow, he scored some great goals. Then he had a few worldies.
He did.
Yeah.
How frustrating is that? Like your mind's still ticking away, your body just been at half a second behind.
Yeah, it's so frustrating. You can quickly go into a tailspin with it. It's a horrible thing as for a footballer, but you know, time waits for no man, and when your time's up, that's it. You know, you battle away with it. You battle away, and Sheva battled away, and he done it with humility, and you know, like he's very highly thought of amongst the group that was there because we respected him for what he was. Not what he was at Chelsea. What he, you know.
And was there any player who came into Chelsea who instantly, you know, a bit different to Shevchenko, instantly hit the ground running and instantly sort of raised the level of the group?
Good question. Yeah. I'd say one who come in from nowhere and was brilliant was Lassana Diarra. I mean, it was just amazing how we.
He's been around everywhere.
Well respected everywhere he's gone as well.
Yeah, what a player! But he was one that he was almost too good to be
Real
true.
Madrid as well.
Yeah, everyone does because
PSG.
Yeah, he's just a great player. Like, and he's just. If I look at his career and he's played for all the big boys and that, I'm not sure he could have been even better. I think he's N'Golo Kante is.
Very similar playing styles.
Very similar.
Yeah.
There wouldn't be much in it between them.
Yeah, I mean, even like he was battling with injuries, but towards the end of his career, I think the Marseille fans loved him for the year they had him. The Real Madrid fans, what did they used to call him? The little engine or something. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah. Let's get another one then. Josh Barrett says, "What's your funniest training ground story?"
Ooh.
Put you on the spot a little bit.
Under the bus.
Yeah, under the bus. Funniest training ground story.
Any rotten fish in someone's car? Or?
We made a snowman once put it in Bill's car at Chelsea.
Bill Kenwright.
No, Bill.
Billy,
the master Bill. And no, we didn't do this once. We've done it multiple times. Whenever it snowed, it was a thing.
Is he the guy that's
He's a bit of
a Chelsea legend.
Yeah, he's a legend. Yeah. It was like a thing. So we did
it.
We put a snowman in his car. And it melted, obviously ruined things, and he was like gutted and then it snowed again a few weeks later, and he tried to hide his keys. Like, you're not going to get me. We found them and put another snowman in.
He's the guy that tells that amazing Petr Cech story.
He's got a great laugh as well, man.
He's like big across social media. Loads of people.
There's about 10 or 20 stories I could say about him.
Was there anyone you like to wind up apart from him? Any one player that was easy to get at?
It was easy to get at. There was a lot of
Ash.
The early days at West Ham were quite amusing as a young player because you had the characters like Neil Ruddock and Ian Wright.
Oh God!
You could see Razor, who didn't like training at that point of his career, was trying to bait an argument with Harry so he could walk off the pitch and go in. And he was like, if you're trying to. Not that I would, but if you wanted to go down the pub and you wanted to try and have an argument with the missus to engage that was like Razor trying to have an argument with the manager so he didn't have to train.
Yeah.
Them sort of characters. There's not many of them now. Like we're talking about the difference in the game, and he sort of like his training schedule was Monday head massage, Tuesday head massage, Wednesday head massage, Thursday. Maybe a little rondo, 5-minute tactics, play Saturday.
Must have felt very relaxed though.
He was very relaxed.
Yeah, because everybody says about Razor, don't they?
Yeah, he's a great guy.
We met him on a couple of
occasions.
We met him. He did an awards ceremony. Some of the speeches were not prepared.
He took me out for my first night out, and it was momentous.
Did you manage to make it home?
He dropped me home about 6 o'clock at my front door at my mum and dad's house, literally. Yeah.
Mum and dad went, "What have you been doing?"
At least he brought you back.
Yeah, he brought me back, gentleman. Yeah.
Absolute gentleman. George Ahisma says, "How was your time at Aston Villa during our decline, and what do you think our promotion hopes are like?"
Well, another, injuries. My body was shot to pieces by that point. But I loved the club. I thought there was a good bunch, really good people, but I could see it falling from within.
Really, even back then?
Yeah, I mean, there was people coming in, talk about directors of football coming in and chief scouts here, and I'm looking at the signings they're making, and I think the biggest mistake was when Tim Sherwood. We stayed up relegation. We played the FA Cup final. I was actually on the bench for the FA Cup final, come back from injury, and I think Tim wanted me there from experience. But then after that, Tim should have been allowed to sign the players he wanted to sign. Someone else in the club, what the motives were, I don't know, wanted to sign certain. I think Tim should have looked and said, no, similar to Klopp.
Put his foot down.
Put my foot down. I've just saved the club in relegation, took him to the FA Cup final. I want this player, this player, this player. And then what he got from what he wanted was, and I think I could see that happening, and it was
that
always
happens for a few windows and then you're down.
That's it, yeah, that's it. You make mistakes in the transfer market, you get relegated.
We got the next one in from Meef98, who says, which current player in the Premier League do you wish you had the chance to play with?
Ooh, apart from Eden Hazard.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I'll play with him. That'd be a silly answer, wouldn't it?
I think in our Chelsea team, I think, do you know, I'd like to have played with Aguero.
Really?
I think Aguero's such a talented player. I've played against him a few times, and he's just.
I could see you swapping out for Sane on that left wing, coming inside.
Yeah, Sane, he's a bit too fast. Sane.
Not got the athleticism.
Yeah. Aguero's top player. I'd like to have played with him.
Suck Spreadbury says, what's the hardest thing about being a pro footballer?
The hardest thing about being there's not many when you look at it, but it's dealing with injuries and your body letting you down. That's a tough time. Like I said, it's your mind. You want to be playing. That's all you want as a footballer. You want to be able to go and do your job, and that's tough. But you have to always look at it with perspective. It's still the best job. Even being an injured footballer is still the best job in the world. Yeah.
Final question then before we go to a little VT of transfer talk and we let you go home. It comes from Faratus. He says, we saw Jose Mourinho have a pretty difficult time at Man United this season. Do you think he's changed since his first days at Chelsea?
Good question. Topical, relevant.
Yeah, we all change. We all, so certainly he's changed. A man as successful as him, a manager as successful as him, he's had he had a relatively bad experience when you consider he still won 2 trophies in 2 years.
Yeah, and what was the Europa League?
And finished second.
Finished second last year.
So it's still relative. It's someone's opinion whether it was successful or not. He could argue it was, but because of his high standards, it didn't work. No doubt he'll brush himself down, come back, and probably go and win the Champions League with PSG or something like that.
Is that where you think he'll end up back on the continent?
I think most people do that. I mean, there's no inside knowledge or anything. I haven't spoken to him, but I think that's the one. If I was him, I'd be wanting to go there.
To PSG?
Yeah, if I was him.
So there we have it. Yeah. Thanks very much, Joe, for joining us. We're going to go to a quick VT of transfer talk now, so we let Joe bounce out.
Thank you, guys.
Hello, you're watching Football Daily, and it's that time of week again when we discuss the biggest bits of transfer gossip. With deadline day tomorrow, we'll be covering the latest rumours from around Europe. If you hear any transfer rumours yourself, remember to tweet them in. So make sure you're following us on Twitter and tweet me with the hashtag TransferTalk to @ZachJellub. And as ever, guys, if you enjoy the content we're making, make sure you like the video and subscribe to keep updated. We start the week in North London, where despite being told there is no money to spend, Unai Emery's Arsenal are linked with a host of players ahead of the transfer window closing tomorrow night. First up is Barcelona's Brazilian misfit, Malcolm, who has also been linked with big rivals Spurs. And the Blaugrana are happy to see the back of the 21-year-old attacker they bought for €41 million just 6 months ago. There is, however, one condition. The deal must have an obligation to buy if it's not permanent this window. Considering Barcelona's steep expenditure recently, they are expected to set a price in excess of what they paid for him. Malcolm has already turned down a move to China this month and still wants to prove he has what it takes to play at the highest level in Europe. Maybe he's regretting the decision to choose Barca over Roma last summer. And of course, the Gunners' defensive situation is very well documented. With a season-ending injury for Bellerin, Holding, Socrates and Koscielny have also all been out for a period of time, it has forced Emery into strengthening his back line. Not content with Lichtsteiner or Carl Jenkinson at right back, the Spaniard has had his eyes on Napoli fullback Kevin Malkut. The Frenchman joined Ancelotti's side from Lille in the summer, but hasn't earned himself a consistent starting place, and Napoli are willing to let the 27-year-old move on. As for the centre-back problem, with the only fit one being Mustafi, Arsenal are looking to beat Crystal Palace and Fulham to the signing of Chelsea's outcast, Gary Cahill. Out of contract this summer, the 33-year-old has only played 21 Premier League minutes and is available for a cut price fee. To Bavaria next, where the future of two of their biggest names remain uncertain. Colombian international James Rodriguez has stated his desire to leave the Allianz Arena as soon as possible. The 27-year-old has seemingly been frozen out of Niko Kovac's plans, having made just 5 starts all season. Again, it's Arsenal who've been linked with James, but a deal does not seem likely, as he looks set to stay in Munich until his loan from Madrid is up this summer. Meanwhile, one of their most iconic players over the last decade has already confirmed he will be leaving at the end of the season. Iron Robin, now 35, is currently unsure of his next move, but the surprise frontrunners are J-League side FC Tokyo. With the likes of Andres Iniesta, Lucas Podolski, David Villa and Fernando Torres already plying their trade in the land of the rising sun, the nation is becoming an ever more enticing option for players in the twilights of their career. Perhaps the J-League's left-backs need to start preparing for his arrival sooner rather than later. Just before we move on to our next transfer story, make sure you guys head over to FDFC and check out the latest squad goals. It's the second episode of a brand new series where we play FIFA Pro Clubs to show you guys how good we are at the game. You'll be able to see your favourite FD faces and Milad, and at 25,000 subscribers, we'll be playing you guys at Pro Clubs. So head over there, subscribe to the channel and leave a comment on the latest video and I'll try my best to respond. On to Merseyside now and Everton, where Marco Silva is just about clinging on to Idrissa Gueye. The Senegalese international has handed in a transfer request after the Toffees rejected a £21.5 million bid from PSG. Signed for little over £7 million in 2016 from Aston Villa, Gueye has become one of Everton's most integral players, and they insist he is not for sale. But with so little time left in the window, you can bet PSG will come back with an increased offer to test their resolve. But it isn't just the league and giants reportedly in for Gueye. Arsenal and Manchester City have also expressed an interest in the 29-year-old. City are in the process of looking for a replacement for the now 33-year-old Fernandinho. However, we're not too sure why the Gunners need him, with the likes of Guendouzi and Torreira already in their ranks. Moving on to potential signings, and the Goodison Park club are reportedly interested in Rennes winger Ismail Assar. The 20-year-old, who has 5 goals and 3 assists for the mid-table side, was signed from Metz for close to €20 million 2 seasons ago, and could command a fee almost double that should the Premier League team come sniffing. And considering they sent scouts to watch Rennes' 4-1 defeat to PSG on Sunday, the chances are they will. And just along the M62, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is making his first big personnel decisions as Manchester United manager. Juan Mata's contract expires at the end of the season, and European giants Barcelona and Juventus are monitoring the situation. Of course, both of these sides have already made high-profile midfield signings in Frankie de Jong and Aaron Ramsey respectively, but they still remain keen on the Spanish World Cup winner. Now, the Red Devils have offered Mata £140,000 a week to keep him at Old Trafford, but only on a 12-month deal. However, the 30-year-old wants to sign a longer contract. There's also reported interest from the MLS and the Far East, but Juan wants to stay put in Europe. In East London, things have somewhat simmered down since Marko Arnautovic signed a new deal at the weekend, ending speculation for now that he's on the way out from the London Stadium. However, the Hammers are still trying to complete a deal for Celta Vigo striker Maxi Gomez, who has a release clause of about €50 million. The 22-year-old has scored 9 in 17 this season, but the plan would be for the Uruguayan to stay put in Galicia until the end of the season. As a result, he could replace Javier Hernandez, who seemingly wants out of Manuel Pellegrini's squad. Chicharito is below Arnautovic in the pecking order, and has seen his minutes go down further since Andy Carroll's return to fitness. Valencia are the side interested despite his monstrous wage, and are looking to replace Michy Batshuayi, who was sent back to Chelsea following a poor loan spell. And it could be the end of the road for Reece Oxford at West Ham as well. With the 20-year-old on the outside looking in East London, clubs from across the continent have taken an interest, although the team in pole position are Championship side Nottingham Forest. An £8 million fee has also alerted the likes of Eredivisie side Heerenveen and Bundesliga outfit Borussia Mönchengladbach, with whom he made 7 appearances during a loan spell in 2017-18. Moving on, Football Manager wonder kid Yuri Tielemans could well be stepping onto a Premier League pitch very soon. Still only 21, Tielemans joined Monaco for £20 million in 2017, but the Monte Carlo side are willing to let him go either on a loan deal or for the same amount of money that he cost them. They currently have two suitors, Leicester City and Spurs. Leicester had been close to finalising a loan deal for the Belgian that could see their Portuguese outcast Adrien Silva head in the other direction. However, with Spurs' midfield woes, all that is standing between them and an offer for Tielemans is for once not down to Daniel Levy. He's happy to sanction the deal, but only once Pochettino gives his say-so. Heading to the northeast now, where Newcastle United look to be finally sealing the signature of their top target this window. Atlanta United star Miguel Almiron will cost the Magpies close to £20 million, which will be a new club record fee. The MLS Cup winner, who netted 12 goals last campaign, will hopefully bring the firepower that the two need in their fight to avoid the drop. Rounding up transfer talk is a player you may not have heard of, but could be about to turn out for one of the biggest clubs in world football. Shoya Nakajima currently turns out for Liga NOS mid-table club Portimonense, where he has scored 15 and assisted 18 in just a year and a half. The 24-year-old looks set to move to Qatari side Al Cahill for a ridiculous €35 million, more than triple the current Qatar Stars League record transfer to date. Now, the reason this is big news is that the current Qatari champions are owned by the same people that run PSG, and come the summer, the Japanese international could well make a move to the French capital. Just make of that what you will. From a commercial perspective at least, Les Parisiens are looking set to break into the Far East market with this signing. If it happens, of course. Hello.
Still cool hard left, but what we do have to have is to get this step into after the guy. The next question is Robert Donald with our who is the position for Nigeria.
Because we did this for about an hour until the back.
Yeah, and it's I mean, it's such a difficult one. He is the irreplaceable player. You play him in central defensive midfield, but he profiles like a fullback.
Yeah.
It's never going to be possible to identically replace Fernandinho.
You know name,
Target number one is he's someone who also contributes incredibly well defensively and really progresses play, is XG build-up, which is how well you contribute to a move that leads to a chance effectively, is very high as well. So I think they'll be in for him in a big way after missing out on the likes of Jorginho and who else was it? Fred. But I think they dodged two bullets there. I'm not sure they could do what Fernandinho does, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm a little bit surprised. You know, he profiles so much like a fullback. That's obviously something that Pep's worked on tactically. You've seen Fabian Delph slot in there with ease. Even at Bayern Munich, Kimmich came in there with ease from the right-back slot. Philipp Lahm played a large majority of his football at defensive midfield towards the tail end of his career under Pep, didn't he? So clearly he likes fullbacks that are defensive midfielders. That's a very similar position for Pep Guardiola. I'm kind of surprised he hasn't had a look at somebody like Rafa Guerreiro at Dortmund, who has played as a left back and also in that defensive midfield mould.
Out the side for a little bit of time, now back in playing well.
He's got really good attacking output in terms of progressions, both on and off the ball, and clearly high defensive output because he's played a majority of the time at the back. I'm just a little bit surprised he isn't looking, Pep, to buy a fullback to convert into that slot. Because I think midfield numbers are so limited, it's almost impossible to find someone like that unless you're going to go and pay 150 mil for N'Golo Kante. It might be a better option to go, let's have a look at right backs and left backs that we can potentially convert into playing that role. And I think Rafa Guerreiro is not the worst shout if you could get him playing in there. I
was thinking the only other the other Dortmund player I was thinking was Weigl, but the issue with him is he's not even playing at Dortmund at the moment, which is strange. And from the research that I've seen, there's not actually been a reason given. It's not because he's injured or that he's out of the squad. He's just not being played. So that I've been being more wary about if you're going to sign him.
I think you've got to be there. I think Pep will be slightly concerned that at 33 he's still so reliant on Fernandinho. I mean, Fernandinho missed, I think, 2 out of their 4 games that they've lost this year. I think they missed for the Chelsea game and the Crystal Palace game, and it makes such a big difference. I think he expected more from Gundogan when he's played in that position. And he'll also be devastated, like Hamill mentioned, about missing out on these big deals. Also, Frankie de Jong joining Barcelona is a massive loss, and Pep has said we need to be more ruthless in getting these deals over the line. So this summer, is the summer where
Here you
they
go,
really
though.
need to get
Does the Frankie de Jong move mean Rabiot's off? Do they really need Frankie de Jong and Rabiot in a midfield that already has Arthur performing to an extremely high level? I don't think they do. I don't think they're going to go for Rabiot now they've bought Frankie.
But they also have, I mean, they have 8 midfielders there now. So they had too many midfielders 3 midfielders ago. I don't think they have any problem stockpiling talent and figuring it out.
He's going to be a big wage. He's going to be a big wage.
The thing is, I think he's holding out for Barcelona, isn't he? Because why would you not? I mean, if he was motivated by money, he'd stay at PSG. If he was motivated by picking up easy silverware, he'd stay at PSG. So I feel like the only step up there, really, in terms of winning the Champions League, the creme de la creme, is Real Madrid, Barcelona. So I do think he's still going to go Barca.
You know, Barca actually offered to buy him last year. In the summer, pretty just gone.
Yeah, I mean,
Barcelona offered and PSG rejected it.
And he's been in this contract situation before. He refused to sign a deal when he was 19.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this isn't new territory for him. Yeah.
In retrospect, Zach. In retrospect, that's quite a stupid deal from PSG because he's now playing the reserves.
This is it.
Can't be used in the first.
That's fine, but because he's upsetting the harmony of the ship, why keep?
Yeah, but why wouldn't they get rid of him this January?
But they don't need money, do they? They can just make a point out.
I mean, it helps with their FFP claim if they want to buy more
everyone
players.
needs 30 million, which is what he would have cost this
PSG
January.
don't need 30 million.
I mean, you take him rather than leave him for free this
I think they make a point.
I agree with Chris. I think they're literally making a point to their stars that go, if you kick up a fuss, we're perfectly happy to let you rot in the reserve.
Yeah, either way, I do agree with you, Joe. I think he's actually more likely to not go to Barcelona now because I don't think Barcelona will want to, age out. Get rid of Busquets so quickly. Rakitic. These players will still want regular football.
I think they're slightly different players as well.
And he's still interested in a lot of Premier League clubs as well. I know Spurs will look at him, although I don't think he'll go to Spurs. I think he'll probably more likely to go to Liverpool than Barcelona.
I think he publicly rejected Spurs.
I actually think he's going to end up at Bayern Munich.
Do you think?
Yeah, Bayern Munich were really heavily linked to him this January, alongside Barcelona. And I think Bayern Munich, as they look to turn over what is an ageing squad, we've all talked about how it's an ageing squad, would be perfectly happy to have him sat at the base of that midfield.
They've got Goretzka's starting to play really well.
Especially with Thiago's injury.
Yeah, and he's a similar player. He almost resembles Fernandinho with his deep progressions, with his tackles and interceptions when sort of adjusted for possession. Stats Bomb, great article. Seems to be a soundbite of mine recently, but they're doing some good stuff. So I don't know if they're more intent on replacing wide players, aren't they?
Yeah. And it would also be pretty damaging for Tolisso as well when he's coming back from injury and
forgot about
him. Be back 3-4 months. So
he was their best.
He was their best player before he got injured.
Well, he's already got links at City.
Yeah, he's been there before.
However, you say that those links are only 6 months during the youth academy, but
they're still only going to have suitors. His form demands.
Rabiot is in City's youth academy.
Yeah, only for 6 months though. Only for 6 months, and I think that Rabiot actually has quite a bit of a hint for next Tuesday. Keep an eye out on Eurofootball Daily. Mundial's had a bit of a change. But we've actually covered Rabiot a bit and his backstory. And if you actually look at it, it's quite sad. Like, his dad had locked-in syndrome and died only a couple of days ago, maybe a month or two ago. And so he's been going through quite a lot as well. And then you add on this whole thing with PSG, you're playing the reserves now. Like, he won't be in a good mindset, you can only assume.
Yeah, definitely not.
Just a little update on the Michy Batshuayi situation. It seems he has agreed a deal to go to Palace. Which is an interesting one. Whether or not they manage to get the paperwork over the line seems to be a little bit of an issue.
However, the Premier League might give them compensation.
Where's your special transfer gong, man? You had one last year, the year before.
I had smack your hand down on Dorman's table.
Not as good. I've lost it, and to be honest, it got annoying, man.
Also,
maybe last window, this window would be great for any done deals.
Also, Matt Law from the Daily Telegraph, who's got really good connections at Chelsea, says that Batshuayi's reps are trying to push him to Tottenham, but so far Chelsea refusing to negotiate unless they get £35 million.
Yeah, it just go across London then, doesn't it?
Yeah, but I think it looks like he's going to go to Palace. Is probably part of the reason. Yeah. Wants to come back to the Premier League. I think Palace is a fairly decent option.
Yeah, definitely. And I think they also respect what Palace can do for young players. I mean, Loftus-Cheek had that spell at them, last year.
Yeah.
And played superbly well there. Batshuayi, if he gets regular game time, will turn into, I'm pretty convinced,
unless
really
Connor Wickham decides to step up. I doubt.
Yeah, well, if Connor Wickham's knees decide to stay together.
He won't get the game time.
Dorman, what have we got over there then?
The next question comes from Naz, who's asked, after Chelsea's unfortunate result last night, do you think Sarri is the right man for Chelsea? And if so, what players would you buy to implement Sarri ball successfully?
Yeah, we didn't want to bring this up in front of Joe, did we? The 4-0 loss, pretty devastating. Really, the result that cost Conte his job last year when Bournemouth beat them 3-0. They've become Chelsea's booby team, haven't they? We also discussed this on this week's Sunday Vibe, so I won't go over it too extensively again. But you're picking the right topics, Dorman. Class. It's Jorginho. It has been far too easy to manage out of games this campaign. So when people clocked his influence 10 games in, typified by the performance that Ramsey put in when they played Arsenal, and Arsenal kind of won with ease, didn't
Brooks
they?
last night as well.
Yeah,
Brooks was phenomenal
Brooks last night. So I don't know if he has to tweak Sarri ball for Sarri ball to thrive in the Premier League. Like, it can't just, all that progression can't just come down the middle. It didn't just all come down the middle at Napoli, did it? They tended to overload that left-hand side, and it might help when Eden Hazard's back out there. It did against Tottenham, didn't it?
I think strange.
It's the Chelsea fan, mate. Go on. From the heart, what needs to change?
He started Emerson, which I thought was good. However, Emerson just didn't have a good day. He really didn't have a good day.
Which is annoying, because Chelsea fans have wanted him to start for ages.
It really was. I think he might have been involved for at least one of their goals. I haven't watched a lot of the highlights. I've only just seen the goals, to be honest. But it's hard because you want, as I said earlier and before, is Chelsea at the beginning of the season, you told them you'll play a decent football and you'll get back into the Champions League and everyone's happy. But now it's like people are angry over just a couple of games, and of course a couple of games where we've not played well, sure, but football nowadays is anyone can beat anyone, especially in the Premier League. So I don't see why people... You made a great
point that some parallels to Pep Guardiola's first season at Manchester City.
Which
wasn't
definitely
the smoothest, was it?
Well, no, 100%. He also went off like a rocket in that first year, and then from January onwards they didn't go above third. And he, like Sarri, didn't have enough time, didn't have enough windows. He then saw that he needed new fullbacks, he saw that he needed a new keeper, and went and spent big. And Sarri needs to be given time. It doesn't just be, he came in, I think, 3 weeks before the window closed, brought in Jorginho, and that was pretty much it as far as transfers went. I know Kovacic came in on a loan as well, but he needs far more players, and he needs far more time. Also, with ageing Willian and Pedro, I'm not sure they're necessarily suited to his style. I don't think Morata and Giroud were set up to his style either. Higuain is a bit of a stopgap. It's definitely not a long term.
Fine, though.
I would definitely give Sarri at least another 12 months. I would be absolutely devastated if they didn't.
I think that
he's going to get 12 months.
Yeah, I think in terms of Higuain, I don't actually think it's a bad deal at all. I mean, we've paid 13 million for a trial of a player. If he is good, we then sign him for another year. I think it works out perfectly for us. And if he bangs 10 goals in the rest of the season, happy days. I mean, his first couple of games.
The thing is,
Sheffield Wednesday
I think it made it easier. It's an easier sell to the fans with the fact that Morata clearly didn't want to be there. Like, what's he going to do? Even if Sarri did pick him, even if he's nailed his colours to the mast, a Higuain-shaped mast, then what's he supposed to do with a striker that wants out? You go to your tried and tested former players, don't you? He was kind of, his back was against the wall in that regard.
My only issue is he keeps going back to things that he knows, if that makes sense. It's like he found the perfect squad at Napoli. With Alan, Jorginho and Hamsik.
But it wasn't the perfect squad because he didn't win the league.
All right, but that's you can say Juventus that have so much more money
points
and
total,
come on.
Just unfortunately that Juventus are absolutely a freak side, aren't they?
But it's for two freak sides in the Premier League as well.
Yeah. And I'm not saying like his modus operandi this season is not to claim the Premier League title, is it? But I mean, he did plug certain gaps at Napoli, like the whole Mertens thing when Milik got injured. So he has played with he's wanted to play with a traditional big man up front, hasn't he, before, which is kind of, I suppose, good for, Higuain in this system.
I think Chelsea fans as well have had...
Higuain was great with him under Napoli, obviously.
Chelsea fans have had two managers come in. Jose Mourinho, fantastic first season, poor second season, gone third season. And then they've had Conte come in, first season, fantastic, sacked second season. Yeah. Now, everyone's expected Sarri, a lot of hype, he's going to have a great first season, he's going to win the league. And he, obviously,
history would suggest you need to wait
another
another
year. And now it's like, okay, let's
But history would
calm
also
down.
suggest is they never get more than 2-3 years.
Yeah, and
the players got one season.
The players cycle. The players are used to that cycle of new managers as well. And I think there is...
Don't want him out, but I don't think he's right for Chelsea.
I think there is an element to what the Chelsea players are used to and what they know that their player power can do as well. I mean, they have so much. They've had so much influence in the past over the sackings of previous managers. And
but we're pretending that's ever going to change. That's never going to change
I
at
feel
Chelsea.
like that core, like who is that player at Chelsea at the moment? Eden Hazard. Like it's no longer 5 or 6 senior pros who are running the dressing room. Was it John Terry, Drogba, Lampard, who all kind of, apparently were the
for Villas-Boas.
Contributing factors to Villas-Boas' demise. It's just kind of Eden Hazard. There's no irreplaceable superstars barring him, is there?
Yeah, I think the worry though already is that when you're already coming out in the press and saying things like he has said, and then also saying things about Hazard, and then Hazard's coming out and just laughing at what he said and been like, I know what I am.
Panic.
Like I sit there and go, but like, okay, something's not right.
Yeah, you don't come out in the press and say you can't motivate your players. That's not a good thing.
I mean, especially when at the beginning of the season you said, I just get given players and I can make whatever I can from them. I'm a coach.
But he did that, and then they beat up Spurs pretty convincingly, and everyone was like, okay, so he needed to have this spiky demeanour to sort of extrapolate that reaction.
But that's so jokes.
And then he's done it again after the lose, and people are like, okay.
But that statement, I'm a coach, not a transfer man. Okay, so you couldn't improve Morata, so you've had to bring in Higuain. So already he's hitting the panic button if that's the case, because 6 months ago he was saying, I don't have to do this, I can improve any player, you give him to me and we'll sort it out. Whereas now we're 6 months in, obviously he's feeling the pressure, and that's gone out the window already. There's another 3 months, his whole system's going out the window, I'm telling you.
I think
it's all going to change. Jorginho will be out, Kante will be DM.
No.
Arguably not the worst idea.
I would be surprised beyond belief if they didn't finish in the top 4.
Yeah. Really? Surprised beyond belief?
Yeah, this is just an aberration.
That Man United
I think their squad is their
squad
is their 4th best.
I mean, we've got Huddersfield this weekend and we've got City the weekend after.
I think last night was inexcusable though. That was
okay. You're telling me, mate. I know.
Let's go back to Dorm and then Social Corner. Keep your questions coming.
Yeah, so there is a overriding theme in the comments at the minute about Piatek, including a question from FD's very own superfan Menez.
Big up
Menez. Legend. They have asked, is Piatek the signing of the window?
Piatek's second goal against Napoli was pure filth. Did you see it? The way he wrapped his foot around that ball, he could wrap a present with his bare toes.
I want to pause there.
There's been another signing.
Dougie Critchley.
Oh yeah, Sunderland.
Is it Will Grigg?
Will Grigg's been agreed.
Yeah!
A fee has been agreed.
1.5 mil.
1.5 mil.
Love that. Better than Ched Evans.
I mean, also, arguably better than Piatek. So.
Northern Ireland's finest.
Absolute beast in League One, Will Grigg. Delighted with that, but no one wants to hear about League One. Piatek, transfer of the window.
How happy are you first? Come on.
Will Grigg is fantastic. We only had one recognised striker today, so that's great. And I think that's why we're looking at the likes of Ched Evans. It was pretty desperate times, but we identified Will Grigg a while ago. Yeah. There seemed to be a few holds-ups in it. Obviously, I'm sad that Major's gone, but we needed to get someone experienced at League One.
He's a beast in League One.
He's an absolute beast at League One. Hasn't played a lot this year, though.
Matty Fry at levels.
But yeah, no, delighted with that. But Piatek to AC Milan is a great move for him. It's a great move for Milan at the moment because I think it was only 30.
35?
35, so quite well priced. He's gone off like a rocket this year. His form has, stagnated slightly, but not gone off a cliff. He's still producing. He looks like a really mobile striker, great finisher, great instinct. I think it's a really exciting move.
What a debut to have, though.
Yeah.
Napoli and scoring 2 goals.
And both of them were so, when you watch a striker and you almost see the confidence. The confidence is almost tangible. He was clinical in that game, and he's a guy who doesn't have to get involved in build-up play. Very much like Marocardi, averaging 15 passes a game, so he's in and around it. But my, oh my, when that finish, he wrapped his foot around that second one. I won't bang on about it for much longer, but I don't think Morata takes on that shot. I don't think, Higuain even gets to that chance. And you're looking at Piatek and you're thinking, oh God, was he worth a risk at 35 mil for Chelsea?
He's not the sign in the window though.
But he looks like
Deal of the window is Tony Martial.
Oh,
6-year deal to Man United.
Come on, we're not
That
talking
is
contracts.
that is the
Who had 10 minutes into the hour where Joe Cole
that
left
is
that we bring up
deal
Tony
of the
Martial?
window. Are we really saying anything other than that?
Well, technically it's not a transfer, but I see your point.
Deal of the window.
It was very good.
Yeah, bloody 6 years, Martial. Absolutely delighted.
What's
With
your man over
a
there?
year extension.
Dorman, what are you saying? What are you saying about Tony Martial?
I mean, I'm absolutely over the moon that Tony Martial is at the club for the long term. I think if we lost him, he would be like the next Salah from Chelsea, the next De Bruyne from Chelsea. He is going to turn into an absolute world beater. He already is a world beater. 6 years at 200k a week. I mean, easy. I mean, I pay that all day.
200k, yeah.
I mean, to be fair, he was on 68k before that.
That's a good
So
jump. That is a great
hefty
jump.
bump, but I would say I
Paul
deserve one.
Martial.
I mean,
68, yeah, I know what you're saying.
It's also like 6 years as well. It's a long time. If you do
Yeah.
want to sell him, you get a hefty fee for him as well.
I mean, maybe part of his contract's stipulations were that Ollie stays, So bringing in that ensuring that attacking philosophy remains.
I'm not so
You
sure.
were getting dug out on Twitter, people thinking you were being serious.
People thought I was being serious.
I think you were a little bit, to be honest.
You know when
there is a little
literally,
missed that. What did
so
you tweet?
basically, Fellaini, it was announced Fellaini agreed to leave, and I tweeted saying, "Give Ollie the permanent."
Right.
And then everybody was like, "Oh, you saying Pocher Day again?"
Oh, yeah. Out of us then, who saw Joe's tweet and thought he's obviously being sarcastic?
Didn't see the tweet.
Didn't see the tweet. He does.
I didn't follow.
I wouldn't follow him either. Anyway, should we get some more fan questions, Dorman, since you're over there doing nothing?
I mean, to be honest, I'm not ready. It was
Never are.
no.
Too busy thinking about Martial.
There's a moment on the Football Social where Smith was like, "I'm back to Social Corner," and Dorman just went, I was watching the game, Smithy."
So a couple of questions about FDFC. So I suppose you could ask a question: who is FDFC's best player?
I mean, if you didn't hear from when Joe was here, it sounded like I was our best player we've ever had. Honestly, it sounded like I could have been pro, and I decided to join FD instead.
By the way, if we can get that deal for Joe Cole done on Wednesdays, he only plays Mondays and Wednesdays. We operate on Tuesdays. There's nothing to say we couldn't get that deal over the line. So that could be a late bit of deadline.
Keep an eye out for the 7 series, season 2 coming soon.
That could be a late bit of deadline.
I mean, the agent's talking to him upstairs. Our best player, you're quite good.
I think Luke Nichols is probably our best player.
Luke Nichols is fantastic.
I think we can all agree Sam Obaseki's our worst.
I mean, Oba has his.
I was going to say,
his day.
if you lot were not mentioning him on purpose and we moved on without mentioning Sam, that would have been absolutely fantastic. He'd have thrown himself over those microphones there. He would have been on screen in less than 3 seconds.
He is
just the 9 goals for him this week.
He is very good.
I can't buy one this season.
However,
he's clearly missing 2 penalties.
Do you remember that Adidas thing we did? I mean, or that video we did?
Yeah, I do. The touch was all over the place.
Yeah.
You know, he's good on occasion, Sam. What I'll say is, as soon as you're in his head, it's gone. It's over for him. He's flying, shoulders, elbows are up here.
You shouldn't be in his
head. He's on the same team. He gets his head rent free.
It's easy to get into his head.
Yeah.
As soon as you're in his head, he'll just put you for a fence.
Tomlinson mental disintegration.
It wouldn't last a second, honestly. You see him in the office.
But all us, mentally fragile.
Yeah, but
on the stat board.
Obaseki is pretty much the most mentally fragile in the whole office. As soon as you get onto him, what's that? It's like the same on a football pitch. It's an absolute nightmare.
To be fair, with FDFC, I think there's quality throughout. You guys have a very good side, but I'd also give a shout out to Danny Pape around the penalty box.
Oh, deadly.
The goal he scored, you'll see in 2 weeks' time, absolutely delicious. But I'm sure this probably isn't what you tuned in for. We'll probably long this out long enough.
Yeah. Celtic are having a madness at the moment.
Another one.
I mean, you've signed a guy called Manny Perez. You ever heard of him?
No.
I mean,
we also signed a player called Shved, and Brendan Rodgers went. We've got about 1 million wingers at the moment.
I mean, if he's
and then sent him back out on loan to Ukraine.
So if he's as good as the Photoshop says, he's going to be class.
Is that a footballer's job? Is that Jay? Has he announced his own
signing for Celtic?
Where's he from?
I mean,
I need details.
I'm not sure.
North Carolina.
He's going to go on loan to North Carolina, though, so you never know. Not only that, he's done a bit of business the other way.
Oh yeah.
Have we sent him to a region or a North Carolina actual team? Is he like work in the fields?
The other one is Mulumbu. Might be leaving.
Mulumbu's been okay since he's come in.
He's returning. He might be returning to Kilmarnock.
Is that Yusuf Mulumbu?
The one that used to play for West Brom. I brought him in on a bit of an emergency because both of Scott Brown's hips just gave up.
He had one of the most outrageous seasons once at West Brom. Didn't he? Like a 6-month period where people were like, "This guy's outrageous." But anyway, let's go back at some more fan questions there, Dorman.
The next question comes from Julio19, who has asked, we are now halfway through the season. What summer signing has had the biggest impact on their club's position in the table?
Good
Great question. I mean, we've talked about it in
impact.
recent weeks about Lucas Digne at Everton. Although it seems at the moment that he's either an assist or a goal or a sending off, and my fantasy team is suffering as a result. No consistency from him whatsoever. But yeah, he's fully moved on. Baines out of that position that he'd held on to for so long with such aplomb.
We gave Everton a little bit of stick for signing what was perceived as the, not rubbish, but the trimmings, the leftovers at Barcelona. And actually, at various parts of the season, Digne obviously has been the best, most consistent performer, have been very good and added a lot to the side. So
and Andre Gomez has been useful on occasion.
Yeah, hopefully Arsenal get the same sort of value out of Suarez. But you boys got any answers for this? Because I'm a little bit stuck at the moment.
I think there's a shout to be made for, we already talked about him, Alisson, in goal for Liverpool. I think he's definitely made a difference at the back for them, just in terms of the confidence of the back line, the trust he gives. I also think Rui Patricio at Wolves has had a pretty big impact there.
Johnny. I like Johnny at Wolves.
Johnny Otter,
as well.
they just agreed a permanent deal there. So they did some pretty decent summer business. I'm trying to think. There's not too many other clubs
on the
really
Wolves theme. I think Jan Moutinho's been awesome.
Yes, good answer.
So evergreen, goes on and on. The amount of control he offers.
I mean, Ruben
also
Neves.
like to give a shout out, not because I think he's been outstanding, but because he's dealt so well with the expectations. But Kepa has had a really good year considering the amount of pressure he was under.
I think the best
was a side by Jalab then, though.
No. I mean, the best thing a keeper can have is actually have no one talk about him.
Yeah, definitely.
Because then he's not been outstanding, but he's not been terrible, and that's probably one of the hardest things a keeper can do.
Of your, I nearly called you Chelsea. Zach, of your Chelsea summer signings, who have you been most impressed with?
And least.
I thought when Jorginho played his first game and scored, I was like, oh my God, we're going to win the league.
He was brilliant until mid-November.
Yeah, I mean, he is good. He is fine.
Everyone's like, 115 passes a game.
Oh yeah, and now it's 115 passes and he still hasn't got an assist. And it's like,
to be fair to him, I mean, did anybody see the compilation of the assist chances that were missed?
Yeah, like Morata's missed a few.
And players like Giroud, where it's dinked over the top by Jorginho beautifully, and Morata puts it into
orbit. He wasn't brought in for assists either. But Zach, I know you're a big fan of a player that I saw that we included in yesterday's transfer review for a possible move to Juve or Dortmund, Christensen. What have you made of his situation? Because it seems to not be getting any better for him, really.
It's difficult because last season he was arguably one of Chelsea's best players out of a bunch of players who weren't that amazing. And when Sarri came in, I thought, it's going to be him and
he's going to be the distributor. He's going to be the
Kumar. Because he can play out from the back. And you saw against Sheffield Wednesday that the goal Hudson-Odoi scored came from like a 60-yard ping from Christensen, so he can definitely play out from the back. However, the one thing I think that maybe has put him in as a negative is that he has an error in him. But so does David Luiz.
And he's learning as well.
And he's learning, and he's still so young. And again, if we were to let him go, it's just going to be another one in 3 years' time.
When you've played well this season, David Luiz has been absolutely brilliant.
But when we've played bad, David Luiz has been absolutely terrible.
Do you think you're going to give him a contract?
David Luiz? I think we'll give him a contract for next year, and that's it.
I think he's gone. I really think he's gone. I think if you were going to give him a contract, you'd have given him a contract. I think he's gone in the summer. I think David Luiz has gone in the summer.
He's had some very suspect moments.
Cahill, I'm surprised if he goes now.
Well, Cahill,
like the Chelsea
there's a few reports going around Twitter actually now saying Cahill was rejected. Juventus, Monaco, and Fulham today.
Sorry, Juventus.
Yeah. Well, apparently they're scrambling around for a centre back with a Chiellini injury.
And Cahill says no.
They're trying. I don't know whether they agreed the deal or whether it is at the moment. They're in talks, or they were last night with Bruno Alves.
Yes, he went from Rangers to Parma, I want to say.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
If they're in this dire straits, why on earth do they let Benatia go?
Again, there might be some stuff behind the scenes that we just never know.
They got almost 10 million for Benatia as well. I don't think they would have got that transfer fee for him like another year down the line.
Benatia must be getting paid an absolute mad.
Especially not with those ankles.
If you don't want to be shopping around Cahill.
Yeah, Juve could probably. They've still got Regani, haven't they? They could probably play someone from the youth team and still comfortably win that league. They're absolutely running away with it.
Still in the squad as well. I know he's about 39. But,
he is father time, isn't he?
Yeah, he's old, but he can still do a job. Pete, what are you reckoning? Next word.
Next question.
Yeah.
There's a lot of comments about Mesut Ozil and his future at Arsenal, so I suppose we could talk about that. It's not so much of a question, but I suppose what does the future hold?
Wondering.
A general musing on what the future holds.
Good use of the word musing.
For Mesut Ozil at Arsenal.
Oh God!
Bless him, cotton socks, man.
I'd like to see him
Get out of Arsenal.
Yeah, I think for club and if your stance about January is that you can only sign loan players when you've got a player who's not playing on £300,000 a week. You're almost singling him out as you're almost teeing up the move, aren't you? Like, we need to move players on before they can be bought in. Look at Aaron Ramsey. We've had to let him go, despite the fact that he's still, adding to our game. So I think this is kind of like a Pogba Mourinho situation, not quite as spiky, but if Unai Emery stays, I think Ozil will go, and I don't think they'll be short of suitors.
I mean, does he?
Disagree. Where does he go?
I was about to say,
and also, why would he go?
I think they would have sold him if they got at least his. You'd say 40 to 50 million. I'd take that for Ozil.
I think an Inter or an AC would chime in for him.
But if you're Ozil and you're getting £300,000 a week living in London and enjoying your life there, why would you go to somewhere like Italy or Milan?
You got some personal integrity.
But I don't think Inter Milan can afford it.
I mean,
how much does he cost to get out? He's had a 5-year contract at $300,000 a week. 6 months ago. How much does he take to get out?
40, 50.
I think in this
and £200,000 a week for a 29-year-old centre attacking mid.
This is one of those rare instances where, you wouldn't actually pay a premium trying to sign him now. So he'd probably cost as much now as he would in the summer. So you're right in that maybe it is a little bit alarming that teams haven't come in for him. But I think if AC Milan finish outside the Champions League places, or one club has a little bit of a panic, needs to make a marquee sign. We saw it with Inter going in heavily for Luka Modric, despite the fact he was on a very good wage. He was coming off the back of a personally tremendous year. So I don't think it's beyond a club in Italy, but maybe running out a little bit of suitors.
Yeah, he's also. I really worry that in 20 years we'll look back and be like, Ozil, great player, not a great career in terms of what he could have been. He was
banging at Real Madrid.
Exactly. His time at Real Madrid, and he's never fits and starts at Arsenal, but still never a consistent member of a team, even under Wenger, even under Emery. And he could have been anything at one stage.
Real Madrid must have been delighted with the way that moved out.
Yeah, and increasingly in football, everyone's playing 4-3-3. I don't think Ozil suits that. There's very few clubs. I can't really see where he goes.
I completely agree. I don't have
but that's the point we say. Why would he leave then?
But
if he's that bothered about if he's bothered about game time, then sure.
It's like the rise of the press-resistant midfielder that can do everything. Everyone wants a Dele Alli now, don't they?
Yeah.
Who can tackle, progress play, can press. No one really. There's less and less room, I think, in the game for like a Trequarista.
Yeah. A languid passing, god, effectively, because his key passes whenever he plays is incredible.
Yeah, mental. Like him and Fabregas are just up here in the Premier League, aren't they, when they play?
To be fair, describing him as a deity maybe was a step too far, but you get my point. I'm worried about
I like it ballsy, mate. Stick with God. Yeah.
Next one.
So there's about 20 minutes left of the window, and I'm just wondering, it's a question from me personally. There's 20 minutes left of the window. What player would you sign? You push the transfer through before the close for your club, and why?
Oh my God!
You start down that.
Yeah. Do you want to start with the more interesting clubs?
For my club.
Yeah, for your club. You can push it through in the next 20 minutes.
Not FDFC,
anyone,
and it can happen.
Realistic.
Oh God.
You're having a bit of a blank. Should we come back?
I would go. Should I jump in?
Jump in because I was looking at transfers.
I'll push through the move for Skriniar. I think United are clearly very, very interested in him. We tried to negotiate this January, and Inter were just basically like, absolutely no chance you're going to get him this January. Rightly so, because why sell him when United are clearly desperate and they don't need to? He's not pushing for the move, so. If I was United and I could, I would. If it wasn't him, I'd go Koulibaly. One of those two. Koulibaly or Skriniar, and I'd try and push the move through now.
Good for you that Inter's kind of title challenges, the wheels have come off then. Hopefully he'll feel personally dissatisfied by it.
I mean, I don't see Skriniar still being at Inter in 2019-20 season. It'll be, won't it? Yeah, 2019-20 season. I just can't see that happening. Whether it's Man United or not, I don't know. But I think it could. There's plenty of clubs that are chasing strong centre halves. I mean, Real Madrid are going to need a Sergio Ramos replacement at some stage, aren't they? And Skriniar fits the bill pretty nicely there as well. Bayern Munich probably looking to sign centre backs, although they did get Pavard already in, didn't they? So I think United will go real heavy for Skriniar in the summer, but I'll get him in now.
I've got my one.
Go on, mate. Yeah, go on.
We'll bring in Isco. I think it could happen, and I just think
it could.
Maybe in part of the deal is coach has to go back right now. But I'd take that every day of the week. Because the one thing, as I said earlier, was that I just don't think Kovacic is contributing enough to goals he's not. I don't think he's scored yet for Chelsea, which isn't great considering we're playing a formation where, especially that position, is meant to be contributing in terms of goals. He's great, as Joe said, at carrying the ball through from the defence to the midfield and giving it to Hazard, who can then do it. However, you need another player there for that attack.
Yeah. And your lack of goals in that position is highlighted when there's a lack of goals and quality chances being generated throughout the team. So you might not be saying that if Giroud, Hazard had all chipped in with goals, but then it has come a little bit further back, and it's like we need goals in the midfield. Oh, there's Kovacic.
Because the other one is Kante, and I'm pretty sure he's matched his best of all his goals in his whole career in just this one season, which is fantastic. And I know I have said that Kante, I'd let him leave the club if he can sign someone to replace him.
He hit it on the half volley against Spurs.
I got a bit sick of that, but I think that's all right, because in the way I explained it was that Kante is the best CDM in the world, 100%. However, Sarri is not going to play him there, and it's just not happening. So,
would you take it? If I said now, Manchester City, here's 120 mil for Kante.
Yeah. Can I then go and buy Kevin De Bruyne? Because that's the thing. This is what I'm saying. I would only sell him if we can then go buy a player to play that centre mid position on the right.
But City go, no, you can't have Kevin De Bruyne, but there are plenty of options that play centre midfield for 120 million pounds.
Okay, if I can get a better player that can play right centre mid, that is better than Kante there, 100%, I'll let him go. Because you need the best players in the best positions, and if the manager does not want to play Kante at CDM, so why waste it?
You're sticking with Sarri. You're sticking with the system.
Yeah, 100%. You've got to.
So you're sticking with Sarri at the expense of Eden, Hazard, and Kante.
At the expense of Kante.
Well, Hazard's going to go, isn't it?
Eden's fine on the left. Eden, I'll sweet talking. Don't worry.
Hazard's leaving.
The left of Madrid.
Yeah,
it'll be fine. It'll be fine on Stamford Bridge.
Go on then. Rattle off Celtic and Sunderland.
Have a bit of respect, please. So I am now going to deliver a 15-minute monologue on our transfer policy. Why is the whole room silent? Do you know what?
I'll go for a little nap.
How much money Larson's mentioned?
I expect it better from you.
Sorry, yeah.
Come on. Basically, our transfer policy is really boring to speculate on, but it's really fun when we do recruit players because we have to try really hard to dig out these diamonds. And in the last 5 years, we've picked up players that are populating the top sides in the Premier League now. Like Virgil van Dijk, like Victor Wanyama, Moussa Dembele going off to Lyon. I think we'll do the same with Edouard, Kieran Tierney will leave. So who knows, this Shved that we've sent back to Ukraine might be playing for Southampton in 3 years.
There's another one. Toljan is confirmed. It's
excellent, because he's a good young prospect from Dortmund as well.
You ever heard of a guy called Calvin Miller?
Yes.
He's gone on loan to
Air Athletic.
Yeah.
Right,
I mean that's just
Scotland. Disappeared into thin air, hasn't it?
Yeah,
so should we move on to Sunderland?
Yeah, go on then.
Yeah, I'll keep it nice and brief.
No, mate,
no need for that, God.
No, keep it brief.
Yeah, so Josh Madger left this window. We need another striker, and even though we got Will Grigg, I bring back Joel Asoro. He played for us in the Championship last year. He's a Sunderland Youth Academy product. We sent him we sold him, to Swansea. Hasn't played there at all in the Championship. He knows the club. He's scored some goals for us in the past. He'd be a great backup to Will Grigg. So I'm going Joel Asoro.
What about Ledbetter? What's happened?
Big Grant.
Yeah, 33. He's back in. Why don't we bring back Dean Whitehead while we're at it?
Dean Whitehead.
Carlos Edwards
Kevin Phillips, are you still playing?
James Vaughan. No, what's his name? David Vaughan. Bring him back.
Yeah, he's still that banger.
Yeah,
Carlos Edwards was quality. He had an absolute. He could kick it like a mule, mate.
Eunice Cabal, don't bring up.
Is he still playing?
No, I don't know.
Eunice Cabal, I think he might be in France somewhere.
Right, let's move away from Sunderland. Dorman, what we got?
Next question comes a wee bit from left field, from Fedgenator, who's asked, who do you think is best placed to challenge PSG for Ligue 1 in the medium term, and how can they do so?
Well, it's been Lille this year, hasn't it? I mean, they're in second place at the moment. Nicolas Pepe, who we should have mentioned for, someone like Arsenal should have gone for, definitely if they're in need of wide talent. He's played really well, exceptional numbers. I think only Mbappe and Neymar have contributed more goals in France. They've got Jonathan Bamba on the left. They've got a young Portuguese guy called Felix João, I think, up front. So they've got a really nice attacking unit. But I think in the medium to long term, Joe Cole was mentioning it earlier, they're a bit of an up and down club, Lille. We didn't really get into why that was.
Yeah, it's got to be.
Say Lille.
I'd say finances. It's got. Marseille have the money to put together a serious squad. I don't know if Rudy Garcia is the man to do that. I don't necessarily know what's been the problem this year, but they've got a bankrolled by cash-rich American owners. So if they really want to go for it, they can make a point of challenging PSG for the title. Lyon. Again, very rich owners, but operate in a slightly more Monaco-type way, don't they? In that they buy low, sell really high, and try and regenerate every 2 or 3 years. So I don't know. I just expected a lot better from Marseille this campaign.
Yeah, and I think from Monaco as well. You know?
Well, Monaco's
as horrendous as Monaco are right now, I was still fairly happy with some of their transfer business dealings in the summer. I think we were all excited by the arrival of Golovin after his World Cup antics. We were all pretty excited by the signing of Yuri Tielemans to play under a manager like Jardim, who's got fantastic work out of young players in the past, and everything that could have gone wrong has gone wrong at Monaco. It's awful there, and I don't really know where they are now, because that is a properly rich club, Monaco. They have seriously deep pockets from their sales. They must have taken in nearly 300 million in transfer outs in the last 2 years, plus having extremely rich owners and in one of the most desirable locations in the whole of France, and yet they're nowhere. So I think in the long term it'll be Monaco. They'll come back because they've got the money. But in the short term, I agree. I think it'll probably be Marseille.
I kind of have to agree with Monaco. I think that the saddest thing was seeing, even when we saw Thierry take over, we all thought maybe he'll do it. None of us really had too much experience because he was the assistant manager at Belgium. And then the way everything's turned out, and from the things that you've heard of what he was doing as well, like giving the captaincy to Yuri Tielemans, who's like 20, over some of your more senior players. It's just,
he had some senior pro training with the reserves as well. It's clearly quite a fractious camp.
It's now turned into a disaster because Fabregas said he only joined because Thierry called him. He's brought Naldo in.
Henry didn't want him. Apparently.
Yeah, he's brought... No, Henry wanted Fabregas.
Oh, I read today that he didn't.
Oh, that's odd, because Fabregas gave an interview I was watching yesterday where he said, the main reason that I came was because I got the call from Thierry.
Well, it's deadline day, there's all sorts
of rumours. And like the transfer of Naldo in there, that is such an anti-Monaco signing.
I'll tell you who's loving
What
it.
is that
Jardim.
move?
Jardim gets the pay packet for leaving, and then he's back in employment a couple of months later.
Such a weird move. Such a weird move. Why is he taking
those Jardims?
Especially if Pochettino leaves this summer, he would have been perfect for Spurs.
Oh, he will still go. There's not an ounce of Jardim that means he's staying. You haven't seen how long his contract is.
Why has he got any loyalty?
And we've not seen how long his contract is. I've got a feeling he's probably just been brought in an interim 6 months.
Might have a relegation clause in there.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he's going to be there much longer. Next question, doorstop.
Menez is back in
again.
And if you haven't been on Football Daily Reddit, go check it out. He has done some very funny photoshops.
To say the least.
I've not seen them.
You've not seen on...
I'll get him up. I'll get him up there now.
There's a great one of the Clickbait King, Adam Templeman.
The Clickbait King, right.
So go check that out on Reddit. But Menez has asked, who should Watford sign to replace Deulofeu if he leaves for Milan?
Well, I'd say Watford are actually pretty well placed with the depth of their squad in most areas. They've really... I feel a bit embarrassed because I actually took them to go down at the start of the year and I've got it completely wrong. We've been really impressed with loads of their players. I think Pereira's been a lot more consistent than I thought he would be. They're still getting a lot out of Troy Deeney. He looks like he's sort of reinvigorated under Javi Gracia. Will Hughes has played really well. They've got Capoue, they've got Doucouré in midfield. They did really well to keep hold of Doucouré this window because there was talk of PSG being quite heavily in for them. So wait, I've got...
Who's he been linked with?
PSG.
PSG?
Deulofeu.
AC Milan, what do they need Deulofeu for?
AC Milan, quick one.
Got Suso, got Çalhanoğlu, bloody Barini, plays every 1 in 3 games.
Their player Halililovic?
Yeah.
He is possibly off to Stade Liège. Yeah.
He's already, they've announced him.
And he was like, it's supposed to be the next big thing, and he's gone the way of Martin Odegaard, hasn't he, a little bit, although Odegaard has been killing it at Vitesse.
Yeah.
I really want to do a podcast on like players that have done that.
Maybe we should do that. That's
next week?
Yeah,
that's
a good chat, actually.
Mason Mount and Odegaard.
Yeah. Next question, doorstop.
I don't have one. I don't have one yet. I'm looking for the...
Does he ever have a question available, this lad?
Again, I've pumped out about 6
He's booking another more frosted tips.
Right, actually, well, you can never be too frosted.
The FIFA Will Grigg, quickly. 4 million.
Ooh.
That Netflix money coming in.
We better go up this year. Otherwise we're bankrupt again.
Some of the
going after Zlatan
just
again.
having a look at some of the Photoshops
big Algerian
that Menez has been involved in recently. I don't know if you can see that on the camera.
I'm posting that on my Instagram. That's fantastic. Me and Zidane.
But him and Zidane's on there. There's also Mystic Mike.
Yeah, classic.
A classic there.
I think what you should take from this is go enjoy Football Daily Reddit and George. check, lads. Just because we've been going for a long time now, and
Kicked over some coffee as well.
All going
So
wrong
gone.
here.
Fantastic.
Mine is back on, although I don't have much battery, so it could die at any stage. So I will share with Hamill.
we'll just get 2 new batteries.
Someone throw me
So
some batteries.
basically, I'm pretty happy about Fellaini leaving because I think it is a clear sign that Manchester United are changing. Marouane Fellaini has been a decent enough servant to United. You know, he's won trophies with us, and most importantly, he has scored big goals for us. There are moments in his Manchester United career where he has scored big goals. But let's not hammer him too much, but equally, let's not moan that he's gone, because £11 million is a decent fee.
I think he's such an example of a player that would have done absolutely amazingly in the 90s.
You're not wrong. You're not the hair as well.
When football was a bit more physical, maybe a bit less dynamic, maybe a tiny bit less technical skill, or maybe this is slightly sweeping statements. But Fellaini, you know, great servant for United. I tend to agree with Joe. I think on his day,
Not a great servant, by the way. He's been an okay servant,
but he's been useful.
He's done a job.
It's not
He's
his
always
fault.
done a job.
It's not his fault. The expectation was placed on him.
No, it's not his fault. It's not his fault.
Imagine being brought on to save a game with that skill set.
Yeah, I know. It's not his fault at all. But equally, it's a shame that it got to the situation it did with Marouane, because he probably should have been moved on a year into his
He was
career.
made teacher's pet by Jose Mourinho. Imagine being made teacher's pet by someone who's universally hated by the whole changing room.
Well, let's not
Apart from
forget, he was
Massive.
also
Massive.
he was also captain at one stage under Mourinho.
Was he?
Marouane Fellaini was captain of Manchester United for 2 games under Jose Mourinho.
I'd also
I
say he
mean-
was,
There was also a stage where he was literally LVG's only tactic when he was losing. Just bring him on as centre forward.
I'd also say he was quite unlucky in even the circumstances that he signed. I seem to remember there was a release clause of about 22 million. Man United didn't reach it, didn't pay for Everton, and then he came in for 27 million 4 weeks later.
Yeah, that was a disaster, because I'll tell you what happened.
Thiago and Fabregas at the time.
Yeah.
How's your mic, big man? We've been talking for so long that we're losing
I
some
don't know.
life
How is
expectancy on the
mine's
mic.
got 2 bars.
Yours is all right,
This
brilliant.
is not too bad, but equally, anyway, let's just wrap up on Marouane Fellaini, because I want to say that thank you, Marouane, but I'm absolutely delighted he's moved on, and we can now bring in a player, because he wasn't on cheap wages. He was probably on about 150 grand a week, and we've recouped not half our fee, but £11 million. I think we did pay 26 million, so about 40% of the fee that we paid 6 years ago. Now he's been at United 6 long years, long years.
Well
So it is what it is, but he's gone now.
Yeah, I mean, he was never a United style player.
Never, no. Equally, we've got, I believe, like 4 minutes left, something like that, of deadline day. So let's go shall we? Or 6 minutes left.
Over to Peter Dorman then.
Okay, it's a question here from Jamie Wilkes. Is Matteo Guendouzi the best young midfielder in Premier League at this current moment?
No, he's not.
Who are you going to say?
Ruben Neves, 20 years old. I think Ruben Neves is probably the outstanding young midfielder in the Premier League. Yeah, if you put him in Arsenal, he'd be better than Guendouzi.
Yeah, I'd also throw
Ruben
Ndidi
Neves is
into
older
the
than
mix.
20.
I think Ndidi's only 21. I'd take him over Guendouzi. I like Guendouzi. He's still got a lot to learn, but he's made a strong start.
Any other players we can think of that are decent young midfielders?
David Brooks.
Oh,
Has to be said, Brooks Althing.
The man you guys didn't know anything about
Yeah,
at the
why
beginning of the
would we?
season.
That was so
And
funny.
Came from Sheffield Wednesday.
now you look back
In fact,
at
we were
that,
his biggest fans.
Now you look back at that.
Brooks.
That is
Who
actually
is Brooks?
so much. That is so funny. Literally,
Yeah.
the first game of the season when he doesn't know this story, Brooks scored, and me and Chris were like, "Who the hell is this guy? Nobody knows who he is. He's a regen, and he is now one of the best wingers in the Premier League."
well, they're not the best, but he's been fantastic this season.
But the most on song.
He's
He
up
has
there,
been
man.
brilliant. Him and Ryan Fraser, that whole forward four at Bournemouth, Callum Wilson, Josh King, have been a revelation this season, haven't they? Bournemouth have really developed into this dynamic counter-attacking side. But young players, I think we're maybe being a little bit harsher on Guendouzi.
I think he has been very good for Arsenal. I mean, in terms of how much they didn't buy him for a lot of money, and no one really knew too much about him when he joined. I don't think he's been that bad.
He's been I think looks pretty complete. Positionally, very suspect. When he plays with like a Xhaka or a Torreira, you often see Guendouzi being pushed around the pitch like a dodger. Players are just like, get out, like go over there.
Yeah.
But he's always willing to take the ball, good array of passes, very energetic, brave. Like he's relishing being an Arsenal player, isn't he? Which is exactly what you want to see with young, talented footballers, not getting swallowed by the pressure.
Loves it. And the fans are really taken to him as well.
I think we might have a signing.
No, I mean, it's more just going to give you a quick update with only 4 minutes left. Andy King from Leicester has gone to Derby on loan. A lot of loan deals this window.
Yeah, do you think this is what I was going to say actually? Do you think this is indicative of a new transfer style? Because I feel like we've hit such peaks with Neymar and Mbappe and Coutinho that now what's happened is clubs have gone, I don't want to take the risk of a £200 million signing off the bat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a year of him, and then we'll either have an obligation or an option to buy. It feels like every move this window, even in the summer it was happening, is a loan with an option or an obligation.
We actually did a bit of a podcast on this, didn't we? How Inter Milan have two guys at Inter Milan in like 2014, 15 maybe, I can't remember the names now, but they revolutionised what has been calling out the Inter transfer since, when it's like a 2-year loan deal with an obligation to buy at the end. So you're paying it more incrementally and enabling yourself to balance the books a little bit more. And I think big teams, after signing a huge player, then have to balance the books, which is maybe there's definitely a correlation, but I'd imagine it's not because the money's not there. Obviously TV deals have kind of not stagnated, they've kind of stayed the same, plateaued for the first time in about 15 years, particularly the Premier League or while everyone else sort of catches up. So the money's still there, it's not going away, is it, anytime soon? But it's maybe people are starting to take FFP a little bit more seriously. Maybe that's, these sanctions, these European sanctions, are maybe playing a bit of having a bit more effect. I don't know.
It's been surprising though, with so many of the top 4 battles in Europe so tight. Lots of the titles already sort of sewn up. But a couple of big transfers in the Premier League could have made all the difference. But I totally agree with Joe. It seems like people are less prepared to take a risk in January on these big money signings that could make all the difference. But it's a shame from our point of view, but it does make business sense.
Where are the clicks going to come from?
It's worth keeping in mind though that potentially with FIFA's new rules, like a lot less loans could be happening. Chelsea have 42 loans right now. Imagine what happens if these rules actually happen.
It's like maximum of 7 players out on loan at one time.
That's good. Like you can't. I mean, hoarding talent is a good business model. Like Chelsea have earned a lot of money from it. So from a business perspective, you've got to have respect for them. Imagine getting to a position where you can drive Bayern Munich up to 45 million for Hudson-Odoi.
Yeah.
Like Bayern Munich, whose record signing is only late 30s, early 40s. So it's crazy, really. But it's also good for the development of young players that they're not used as pawns in a financial game.
100%.
I completely agree. Should we get one more question then, Dorman? Because we are rapidly approaching deadline day's final minute.
Yes, I believe there's probably 90 seconds left of
time for Adrian Silva to miss his flight.
Come on, Kyle Webster's asked, outside of the top 6, who is the most exciting team and what do they need to do to progress?
Outside the top 6.
You know what? I actually think the most exciting team outside the top 6 is West Ham. I think West Ham have the highest ceiling of any of the non-top 6 sides. I don't think they've necessarily.
I wasn't expecting to say that.
I think they've got the budgets to do it. I think they've got a current squad that's both got a decent mixture of young and top tier talent. You look at Declan Rice, young, but he's got a high ceiling. Diop in the same way, and then also players like Felipe Anderson. Didn't even mind the re-emergence of Sami and Nasri, Marko Arnautovic up top, Aaron Cresswell, the signing of Luka. It's just a good all-round squad. Pellegrini's the top manager. I think with the right investment and the right signing idea, then they could easily challenge the top 6.
Wolves. Wolves, their financial investment has been ridiculous, and Nuno as well has been playing some fantastic football. I thought they were good, and I thought they took the piss a little bit in the Championship. However, now in the Premier League, seeing Ruben Neves play to the level Ruben Neves was captaining his side in the Champions League at 18 years old. It's no surprise he was going to be this good. I just don't understand. Well, you do understand how he went to Wolves. There's a bit of Mendes in there, but if they can make a couple more signings, and their home form has been fantastic.
They've made it a place where players want to go as well, though, mate. I think that's really important. So Johnny Otto signing on a permanent.
Jimenez on a permanent.
Yeah, Ruben Neves committing his future to the club. We went to see, when we did a personal mastermind, we saw the club behind the scenes, and they've invested so much in infrastructure. Like it's a really modern club. No doubt that plays a part. But I would say, maybe I'm being a little bit biased, I think Leicester are slightly ahead of Wolves. I looked at the squad that lined up against who did they play last night? Liverpool, and their second half performance was phenomenal as well. And I thought, this team isn't that far away from being, at least in the starting 11, not so much in the squad, from being a challenger for a top 6. If they'd kept Mahrez, you're looking at Maguire, Johnny Evans. Maybe you could upgrade Johnny Evans, but I think Maguire is a very, very good player. More to come from him. Still quite young, mid-20s, isn't he? Defenders generally peak a little bit later. Chilwell, I think he's a serially underrated left back.
Seriously good.
I think he could play at Arsenal.
City in need of left back cover.
Potentially, he's such a complete, composed player, and he's actually added on the attacking end this season. He gallops down that left-hand side. Ricardo Pereira on the right-hand side. I liked that he was moved back because Leicester do look a significantly weaker side when you look at, the game against Wolves where they beat them 4-3. Where's Morgan? Danny Simpson. I was like, oh my God, that's almost championship at this point in their careers. No disrespect to them, bloody good pros. But then you've got, an excellent midfield. Ndidi, you've mentioned.
I love Ndidi.
Mendy's really come back to the fore this season. James Maddison in that 10, who could become a real jewel in the English crown. And then you've got
Demarai Gray coming into his own a bit.
Demarai Gray. I like aspects of his game, but I think that's where
I think he'll probably be moved on to.
If that's where Mahrez had stayed, you're like, wow.
Yeah,
that's a much better side.
But they tried it with Rashid Gazal and they're just not quite worked out. I think there are a couple forward signings away from doing that.
And also Iheanacho.
Like Iheanacho is not quite worked out. Has he been there now under 2 managers? Is it?
Another player who we really liked. We thought it was the best move for him. It wasn't.
Just not really worked out. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen.
The window's closed.
Yes, thank you to everybody who has tuned in. The window is now closed. There's still a few deals that can be done with a bit of dispensation and loan moves, stuff like that. But generally, not the best deadline day, but a very good stream nonetheless.
Joe Cole was fantastic.
Thank you very much to Joe Cole for joining us on the sofa and talking us through his transfer to Huawei. Thank you very much for everybody at home for watching, the guys behind the scenes as well. Make sure you check out all of the content on FDFC, on EFD as well. And I believe today we uploaded a transfer talk, was it on?
Hot takes.
Transfer review.
Hot takes.
Star Wars.
Content.
It
Thank you very much for watching. Good night.